Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 10 Puu. 181. Blood Shark Pirates. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Your Highness is tired these days. Why are you giggling non-stop today? Hancock blushed at what Dee said just now, and looked at His Highness curiously at this moment. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Black Rose joked. Boom. While the few people were talking, there was a sudden sound of gunfire outside the base, which brought Dee, who was thinking about it, back to his senses. Your Highness, pirates have landed on the island and are attacking Lord Kuina and Lord Bess. The Shenwei with short wings came to report. Dee frowned. The prehistoric island itself is located on the route. There are often ships passing by, and naturally there are some troublesome pirates. Go out and have a look. Dee gave instructions to the three girls and strode out of the base. On the prehistoric island, the dense giant wood jungle, the open grassland near the coast, looking at the beach, boulders and so on. Advertisement. At this moment, there are 5 large pirate ships moored on the coast, and a shark with its mouth wide open is painted on the flag raised high. There are many pirates with knives standing on the pirate ship, looking at Kuina, Bissy and Blue Ogre Red Ogre with malicious intent, and their eyes are more on Blue Ogre Red Ogre. On the largest ship, at the front is a shirtless man dressed as a captain with a swollen face. Beside him is a row of naval guns with blue smoke around their muzzles. This guy should be responsible for the explosion just now. Boss Garrett, these 2 guys are Blue Ogre and Red Ogre, and the bounty is 100 million Baileys. The little brother-like pirate spoke affectionately. Luhahaha, if you meet Lousy, you will be unlucky, and Lousy will accept the 200 million Baileys. You should surrender quickly. Lousy's poison is not so simple. Garrett laughed wildly. The faces of Kuina and others were ugly, and the place where they stood was covered with traces and potholes from the bombardment, and the 2 girls were pretty. His face was also smoky. Blue Ogre and Red Ogre were accidentally wounded by shells in order to protect Kuina and Bissy because of their huge size in the battle just now. What's abominable is that this wretched guy actually quenched the poison on the shell fragments. It seems that the toxicity is not weak. As a result, Blue Ogre and Red Ogre lost their fighting power. Boss is amazing. I never thought that a moving vault could be found in such a ghostly place. Boss is amazing. Of course the boss is amazing. It's up to you to say, boss, those 2 chicks look very punctual, and then you have to give me a little fun. Ha ha ha, boss, you let us drink some soup when you eat meat. Brothers are almost suffocating these days. Advertisement. A group of horse pirates said. Gossiping. Can't stop laughing. Blood Shark Pirates, Captain Garrett has a bounty of 80 million Baileys. Although the bounty is not high, this guy is notorious in the paradise, because the methods are too disgusting. All are poisoning, backstabbing and the like. He even won a pirate with a bounty of 200 million, which is something Garrett is proud of. The combat effectiveness of Kuina and Bissy is still a bit weaker, especially under this kind of bombardment and back arrows. They cannot face the Blood Shark Pirates and pose a frontal threat. Just as Garrett was laughing, the first group of 4 had arrived. Seeing this scene, Black Rose frowned immediately, and without Dee's orders, raised the rapier in her hand and walked straight towards the Blood Shark Pirates, exuding awe-inspiring killing intent. Leave the leader, it's useful. A cold tone sounded from behind Black Rose, and Dee got angry. Your Highness, you are here. Number 7. At this time, the lively Bissy's eyes were reddish, while Kuina bit her lip and stared at the opposite pirate. She didn't reach her ideal level in the battle just now. After seeing the 4 of Dee, the 2 girls ran over excitedly with Red Ogre and Blue Ogre, and handed over the home game to Sister Rose. Advertisement. Boss, our vault is about to run away. Boss, let's go down. 200 million Baileys. There are also 2 juicy beauties. The pirates shouted. The Captain Garrett gave a grin, and took all the pirates off the boat, ready to go ashore to pursue. Oh. Black Rose and the injured 2 girls passed by, cast a caring look, and stopped at a distance of more than 100 meters from Garrett's group. After disembarking, Garrett and his brood looked at Kuina with grim faces. Garrett snorted even more disdainfully. Hey, you actually want to cut me? I'm so scared. I don't know how many hairs on Lousy's legs can be cut off with such a thin sword. Ha 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 ha. Girl, you should go back to Cook Bar. Ha 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 ha. The pirates also followed suit, completely looking down on the Black Rose standing in front of them. In their view, this kind of slender woman is cooking material. You mean to kill people? Can you see them with big waists? The humiliation of the pirate gate made the chill on Black Rose's face even worse, and the rapier in his hand was slowly raised, facing the group of pirates who were coming. There were bursts of whistling sounds from the sword body. The strange whistling sounds were so subtle that they were almost indistinguishable. But Kuina, who was not far away, had her pupils constricted, and she tightly held the Hidai character in her hand, staring at Sister Rose's rapier. Opportunity not to be missed. Advertisement. 182. A knife breaks the sea. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Jung. The rapier suddenly fell, and a silver sword energy more than 50 meters high split out, cutting the ground with a swish, leaving a deep ditch. Gully. Cut towards Garrett and others. Who? In Garrett's terrified eyes, a huge sword aura that resembled a crescent moon almost cut close to his face, and the wind blades around the solid sword aura scraped off his clothes completely, bringing out a road bloodstains. Ho, ho, I didn't hit it, what rubbish. The deafening crackling sound completely covered Garrett's embarrassing circus, and the violent air wave from behind sent Garrett and his little brothers flying like blowing 867 of ants, and they all fell down in a state of embarrassment. On the ground. A large pirate group parked behind them suddenly shattered into pieces in the slash of the Black Rose just now. The sea was split open, and a canyon-like sea surface appeared, and the seawater poured down like a thunderous roar. Garrett and the others were completely terrified and didn't realize what was going on, until they mechanically followed the direction of the sound and turned their heads to look at it, then they screamed like a woman being raped. Ah, I've worked so hard to save 10 years to buy this boat. Ah, our ship. Advertisement. The pirates were so scared that their faces were pale and their faces were pale. They made the sound of weapons falling one after another, and almost all their legs went limp on the ground in disappointment. Their eyes were full of fear as they looked at the witch-like Black Rose. The tall beauty of Black Roses. Step by step, she is wearing black boots like an elegant witch in the dark night. Every step is so fascinating. Human, but with a deadly threat. No, don't come here, old, lousy has a bounty of 80 million shells. Garrett was so frightened that he kept backing away, and the pirates around him were even more helpless, and their faces were pale with fear. The rapier swung horizontally again, there was a slight pause in the middle, and two crescent moon slashing waves shot out. Slash quickly passed Garrett's side, and the sharp sword energy brushed past him, turning him into a beggar, with an explosive head and a cloth strip of clothes. The sound stopped abruptly. The surroundings were eerily quiet. The smell of blood slowly radiated from both sides. Garrett twisted his neck with difficulty, crackling, looked to the sides, his eyeballs almost fell out, and his heart almost stopped beating for an instant. Those little brothers who made strange screams were all cut off at the waist, and turned into two corpses lying beside them. A team of nearly 1,000 people. One knife. Gone. Advertisement. There was a dead silence. Except for the delicate sound of Black Rose's graceful steps on the beach. Gulu. Brigitte, you were lucky last time. The giant Dory, who has gradually improved after receiving treatment, swallowed, remembering the situation when Black Rose took Brogy's axe before. It should not be hot this time. Cough, cough, Dory, I haven't hunted sea kings tonight. When I have strength later, let's hunt one. I heard that Master Rose likes to eat sea king's meat. Brigitte had cold sweat on his brow. Sen, I am glad that I had a bit of moral character back then and did not offend Lord Rose. The beautiful eyes of Hancock and Bissy who were watching the battle were full of horror. The scene of beheading thousands of people was too bloody and shocking. They couldn't help but feel a little more awe in their eyes when they looked at Sister Rose. It turned out that Rose, who usually likes to smile when my sister kills people, she is not relentless. Kuina's eyes were even more radiant, pretty. A flush of excitement appeared on her face, as if the Black Rose's sword just made her realize something. Rustle, rustle. Black Rose's nimble steps stopped. Her graceful figure was like a bloodthirsty witch. Her cold beauty carried a murder that ordinary people could not control. Kill. Advertisement. No, don't kill me. Boom, 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 boom. Garrett kowtowed on the ground. He was completely frightened out of his wits. This is definitely the fighting power of a great swordsman. Smash the pirate ship with one knife, and take thousands of lives with one knife. The great swordsman alone means suppressing the strength of the home court, which is too terrifying. Although Garrett claims to have killed a big pirate with 200 million Baileys, he dare not have any luck with the terrifying strength of the Black Rose. Just now the aura of this witch was too terrifying. She killed her little brother without saying a word. If you beg for mercy, you may still have a chance of survival, because the slash just now obviously missed you on purpose. As long as the witch in front of you is willing, she will definitely take your own head. Boom, boom, boom. The kowtows continued, and Garrett felt remorseful in his heart. Why did he not read the almanac when he went out? They were sent directly to the pre-liberation period, and there was no room for them to cry. But Black Rose was standing in front of him, and the pair of black boots that scared Garrett didn't move, still standing there. Garrett, who knows the essence of flattery, understands that this is the critical moment. If the other party doesn't speak, he can't listen to this kowtow. Whether he can live or not depends on his performance at this time. Now he kowtows violently, begging for mercy in his mouth. Grandma, my lord, please let me go. I'm an asshole, I'm talking nonsense, I won't come here again, I'm trash. I'm Garrett. I'm a fart. Please let me go. I took my life and passed me like a fart. Advertisement. 183. Second Coming Sabayati Archipelago. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Well said. There was another person in front of him, and it was DE standing with a sneer. Owner. The Black Rose retreated behind DE, and Garrett was terrified in his heart, calling him master. Could it be that this heaven-defying witch is someone else's servant? Having lost all his younger brothers and turned into a bare-bones commander, Garrett didn't even have the courage to pretend to be aggressive. He looked at the young man in front of him with great fear, and suddenly his eyes froze and his breath stopped. You are DE. King of Nine Snake Island, DE. Aren't you dead? Why are you still alive? Garrett, who realized that he had said something wrong, quickly covered his mouth. Bah, the expression is wonderful. With a bounty of 1 billion Baileys, DE can be said to be the most top bounty existence in the world, and what made him most famous is that Marine's Buster call against Nine Snake Island was brutally disabled. Advertisement. It's the first time I've seen the Buster call lineup being disabled, and DE's name has spread all over the world and on the Grand Line. Knowing that DE disappeared for more than a year, coupled with the sudden sinking of Nine Snake Island, yes, the explanation given by Marine was the sinking, and everyone believed that DE should have died. Dead. Oh. Could it be that those bastards in Marine tagged me in order to demonstrate their incompetence? DE sneered, looking at Gartler with a dazzling gaze. The woman who offended me, how should I kill you? Lord DE, don't kill me, don't kill me, I'm just a dog. Bark, bark, please don't kill me, let me do anything. Please. Garrett burst into tears vertically and horizontally. What are you talking about? There is an 80-year-old mother and 3-year-old mother waiting to feed the child. The mother died at the age of 8, and the father died at the age of 10. He grew up in suffering since he was a child. Almost a history of blood and tears. The girls watching from a distance couldn't help laughing out loud. It's a waste for Garrett not to be a storyteller. DE was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. Look at me. Garrett raised his head in panic, and suddenly saw DE's icy eyes. The three-eyed pupils attracted all his attention, and Guyu turned quickly. Distinguished heavenly gods. The invisible mighty power is transmitted through the eternal Mangekyo, forcibly changing the meaning of the captain of the Blood Shark Pirates. Just 3 seconds, as expected of scum, I can only hold on for 3 seconds. Advertisement. Owner. Garrett said respectfully, the whole person was extremely obedient. From now on, you will be the pirate group on the prehistoric island. Next, I need you to follow me to do something. Sabayati Archipelago. As prosperous and lively as ever, the death of celestial dragons is just a fleeting moment. Apart from the symbolic increase of some marines stationed on the island and a little stricter management, there are no other major changes. Island number 3 is mainly engaged in human trafficking and auction of some unknown items. DE does not intend to involve Hancock's children for the time being. After all, she, Kuina, and Bissy are still white, and there is no need to dye black. Besides, the prehistoric island is about to establish a new country. After all, a white king is better than a black one. This time I came to Sabayati and only brought Black Rose and Garrett. I handed over the obvious things to Garrett, and did the rest by myself. In the backstage of Island Auction 3. Advertisement. Wear fancy clothes. The waiter walked in quickly, followed by an old man with a scholarly look. Sir, your item has been appraised, my Lord Adolphus Flory, the chief appraiser of the number 3 Island Auction House. The old man introduced himself politely. Garrett's face flicked, the chief appraiser. This is definitely a high-ranking member of society in the pirate world, at least a pirate like him with a bounty of less than 100 million cannot be seen. But think about it now for D. His Highness is doing things. Anyway, he can be regarded as the subordinate of a billion pirates, so he has gained a little bit of confidence. Distinguished heavenly gods can change a person's loyalty, but they cannot change a person's character. People who are distinguished heavenly gods will still maintain 947's own style of doing things and character. They are only loyal to DE and absolutely obey. He laughed dryly. You're welcome, the captain of the Blood Shark Pirates, Garrett. The old man glanced at Garrett a few more times, but shook his head secretly in his heart. The stamina pill Garrett brought over directly alarmed the senior management of Sabayati's embankment auction house, and then let him personally appraise it. The appraisal result was shocking. This stamina pill can actually restore the stamina of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral level combat power, at least 5%, Rear Admiral is even more obvious 8%. It seems very rare, but the physical strength of 1% of the Vice Admiral level is also very terrifying. Sabayati Embankment Number 3 auction house with a keen sense of smell immediately sensed the huge business opportunities inside, so it was a great deal of face to arrange for the chief appraiser to come. Sure enough, you are young and promising. Captain Garrett, I wonder if you still have these stamina pills. We are willing to buy as many as you have, and the price will be favorable. The chief appraiser said seriously. Advertisement. 184. Giant Warrior Helding. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Garrett was stunned. His Royal Highness DE is waiting for the auction in the VIP room. He wants to see how popular the physical pills are, but Garrett didn't expect that even the senior executives of Sabayati's Dike auction house would buy these 10 physical pills. Immediately alarmed, this effect is a bit scary. At the moment, he also regained his old character. This guy is talking nonsense. Ahem, you are welcome, I just got this thing at random. I had some before, but unfortunately I used it. Now this is the last one. I've got 10 coins, I think there are a lot of mistakes, so I'll give it a try and exchange for a few wine money to spend. No useful information can be found, but there is only one ghost letter, but the chief appraiser is not a fuel-efficient lamp, he just smiled politely. That's really a pity, please move to the VIP room first, specially reserved for you location. I didn't book any VIP room. Garrett was at a loss. Your auction item is very valuable, and it was specially presented by us. The chief appraiser said. Only then did Garrett realize that he was here to curry favor with himself. Immediately a sense of pride welled up. The VIP room rent was only 10 million Baileys a day, and I, a big pirate, with a bounty of 80 million Baileys, had never enjoyed it before. The status skyrocketed in a few days. Advertisement. Garrett, feeling secretly refreshed, swaggered to the VIP room. As soon as he arrived at the VIP room, Garrett saw the VIP room of His Royal Highness DE and Lord Black Rose not far away. Because distinguished heavenly gods was cast, Garrett could feel DE's will from a certain distance. The auction has officially started. The crowded auction site was full of people, most of them were vicious pirates, and the bounties were not low, because many of them came to sell stolen goods and buy some precious items. DE also intends to take a look along the way. If he can meet devil fruit, he will naturally catch a few. If not, he will observe it. The popularity of the stamina pill will make it easier for him to take the next step. The opening is often something that can hold the field, which has always been the practice. With the host's impassioned explanation, the atmosphere on the scene was quickly lit up, and the buyers on the field became enthusiastic. Next is the first item in this auction. This is what we got after spending a lot of money, I believe it will not disappoint everyone. The host smiled mysteriously, and tore off the red silk covering the auction table, revealing a piece of paper with fingerprints on it. Giant Warrior Hairden. Mercenary contract. The time limit is 1 year. The starting price is 50 million Baileys, and each increase is no less than 1 million Baileys. Advertisement. Quote. The scene boiled in an instant, which is amazing. This time, Helding's mercenary contract was actually settled, which is really unexpected. The giant race is a famous and powerful race in the sea, but the number is extremely rare. They usually use mercenaries to earn what they need for life, but few people are willing to sell the mercenary contract of the giant race. With this thing, it's equivalent to having a giant as a bodyguard for a year or so, which is absolutely safe enough to explode. The fighting power of any giant is far beyond that of ordinary people. Getting this kind of good thing means that there will be one more super thug within a year, and many pirate captains are very happy. DE also stared slightly. Oh. Higher ding. He is not a giant warrior, this guy should be the leader. Now that Dory and Raji have forgotten the location of the giant village, maybe this Helding knows some information, and he can use him to bring the entire giant tribe into the territory of the Kingdom of God. Buy him, no matter how much money. DE's voice rang in Garrett's mind, who was not far away, but he didn't have many Baileys with him. DE had already made plans. If it really didn't work, he would just go out and snatch Helding directly. 111. 53 million Baileys. 57 million Baileys. As soon as the host's voice fell, the price began to rise all the way. Advertisement. 80 million Baileys. Hierding's mercenary contract. Lousy wants it. Amidst the loud shouts, a bald man with scars stood up and directly raised the price to 80 million Baileys, which was already the amount of reward offered by Gartler. Because of the heavy casualties in pirate world, the service period of a mercenary is usually only 10 years or so. This guy who bought Helding's mercenary contract at a high price is definitely planning to use the other party as a wrong person to perform tasks with a very high mortality rate. Scar. It turned out to be him. Forget it. My king is jealous and the Jows give up. The bounty is 250 million for Bailey's Scar. This guy is a murderer without batting an eyelid. Forget it now. After seeing this ferocious man, basically all the bidders died down. Places like Sabayati Embankment can speak for their own strength. Hey, Scar appreciates everyone's kindness. Haerding is mine. Ha ha ha. Scar's eyes flickered fiercely, and he laughed triumphantly. 80 million Bailey bought a powerful battle force, which is not a loss. Earn it back and blow it. 90 million Pele. In the VIP room, Garrett stood up. Asshole. Advertisement. 185. Weird mermaid. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Asshole. The proud Scar looked up and saw that the VIP room was located at a higher place. He happened to see Garrett's figure, and immediately became angry and sneered. Who was I at that time? It turned out to be from the Blood Shark Pirates. Garrett, did you forget the pain of the scar after healed? Did you forget the smell of Lousy's stinky shoes? Garrett looked down and trembled all over. It turned out to be Scar. A year ago, the Blood Shark Pirates had confronted the Scar Pirates head-on, but most of them were killed and injured. Tay is also licking. The scarred shoes were let go. Garrett was extremely nervous, but Dee's will could not be violated. Even though he was extremely afraid, he still had to carry it out. The scar is red. Guouo's contemptuous eyes also hurt Garrett's self-esteem, and he glared at him, but didn't say much. Asterisk 92 million Baileys. If you dare to snatch it, Blood Shark, you trash, never leave Sabayati's dike. Dao Scarchi. Guouo's threat. Unless Blood Shark doesn't leave Sabayati's dike, he will be the first to kill him. Scar only has less than 100 million Baileys in his hands, and he bought some good things for 070. Helding's mercenary contract is definitely worth the money, so he naturally wants to win it. HMPH. 150 million Baileys. Garrett bid directly. Scar's complexion was suddenly ugly, completely beyond his budget, and he looked at Garrett with eyes that wanted to eat people. HMPH. If you don't have money, get out of here. Poor people are not welcome here. Garrett shouted loudly that this was the price that Dee asked him to bid through his will. After all, face slapping is also Dee's hobby star. Advertisement. Helding's mercenary contract fell into Gartler's hands smoothly, but the quarrel with Scar was settled, but Garrett was not worried at all, as Lord Rose alone was enough for him to worship for decades, not to mention there was Dee, who was called the Master, must be stronger no matter what. The next few collections are relatively ordinary, such as looted treasures, which were cleaned up at the price of hundreds of millions of Baileys. The auction entered the second half. The following auction item is believed to be liked by everyone. The host didn't just waved his hand and pointed to the side of the stage. This product is a young and beautiful female mermaid from the Fishman Island. At this time, several female staff members wearing masks stepped onto the center of the stage with a large peripheral vision. The fish tank is spherical in shape with a smooth opening above it, and a blonde-haired female mermaid stays inside. The so-called mermaid means that the upper part is a human being, and the lower part is a fish tail. This female mermaid looks very young. At this moment, she dives into the water, with innocent eyes, with a little bit of fear and guard. It's the first time I've seen a mermaid. It feels weird to sell people as commodities. Thinking in her heart, Dee couldn't help but take a few more glances. At this time, the host also began to introduce the product. I don't have many mermaids, and everyone knows that the mermaids caught from the Fishman Island are getting less and less, only a few times a year, so this time the mermaids are caught. The base price is 50 million Baileys, and each price increase must not be less than 3 million Baileys. Advertisement. As soon as the voice fell, someone shot immediately. 56 million Baileys. But the BJAG number didn't stay for 3 seconds, and then there was a second sound. 60 million Baileys. 70 million Baileys. The price has soared all the way, even higher than Helding's. Scar seems to want to get this mermaid swearingly. After all, mermaids are not only beautiful, but also the best gift to curry favor with celestial dragons. To think about it. 85 million Baileys. Scar immediately shouted loudly, scanning the audience fiercely. Once someone raises the price, he will definitely end his hatred. Dee frowned, because he felt a strange aura from this mermaid, very similar to devil fruit. What's going on? The system. Advertisement. The voice of the system sounded unhurriedly. The other party has energy similar to devil fruit, but it is very weak and does not have the conditions to absorb it. A power similar to devil fruit. Dee suddenly remembered that the main thing the system needs is devil fruit, but as mentioned before, some other things with energy can also be absorbed, such as the supreme sword or some other treasures. Could it be that this Murloc has some treasures? Maybe it's a clue or not. Take it down. Dee's voice sounded in Garrett's mind. Dee, who is worth tens of billions, is not short of this money. He is more concerned about clues about devil fruit than hundreds of millions of Baileys. Are clues to treasures. But, Your Highness, I'm afraid we don't have enough money. Garrett smiled wryly. It doesn't matter. Let's pay 200 million Baileys, buy it directly. These are all settled after the auction is over. Our things haven't come out yet. Dee's flat voice sounded in his mind. Garrett immediately found the backbone, and immediately shouted, 200 million Baileys. As soon as the voice came out, the buyers below looked over one after another. Their eyes were full of jealousy. 200 million berries to buy a mermaid. is also rich, this price can already buy a very good pirate head. Advertisement. 186. Everyone's crazy. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. You bastard. Are you looking for death? Garrett. Scar was so angry that his 7 orifices smoked, and the mermaid who was just about to get it flew away again. This Garrett has eaten the heart of a bear and wants to go all the way to the dark against him, right? Hey, Scar, this is an auction house, don't let your sour air out, it's so sour to everyone, hee hee, no money. Sit down and cool off. Garrett's heart was so sour, he stepped on his enemy twice in one auction, this feeling is really awesome. After 200 million Baileys, no one speaks again, this guy is no longer worthwhile. The scene quieted down, the host glanced at everyone, waited for a minute and then said, it seems that there is no higher price, 200 million once, twice. 3 times. Deal, congratulations to this gentleman, take the ownership of this mermaid. The mermaid is here. Scar's eyes were bloodshot, and his body was full of anger. Shaking, but he had no choice but to sit down and stare at Garrett, as long as there is a chance, he will definitely go up and mess with someone. Garrett actually didn't understand what DE bought the mermaid for. In his opinion, it was like a vase, and it couldn't even be put on, it was useless. The auction continues. Advertisement. The following auction items are quite satisfactory, and there is nothing surprising. At the end, the host took the stage again, and 2 spotlights came on. Next, it will be the finale item of this auction. I believe everyone has been waiting for a long time. In fact, the finale item this time is the previous Miss Mermaid, but because of the special nature of this item, after the discussion of the auction high level, special treatment was given to it as this finale product. After saying that, a few elite soldiers in full armor steadily carried a small table up, and the red silk was lifted to reveal a delicate crystal bottle placed on it, and a roll was lying in the crystal bottle. Round milky white stamina pills. The spotlight fell on the crystal bottle, which was so beautiful that the host immediately began to introduce enthusiastically, this product is provided by a special buyer. It is called a stamina pill. After taking it, it can restore 10% of your energy within 1 minute. 1's stamina. The stronger the combat power, the effect will gradually weaken. The current test result is that the Vice Admiral level can restore 5% of the stamina, and even the Admiral level will recover 1% of the stamina. I don't need to say the importance of this kind of thing. The starting price is 70 million Baileys, and each price increase should not be less than 100 yuan. What? Stamina pills. It can restore 1/10 of your stamina. How could there be such a thing? Wouldn't it be possible to use one at a critical moment to save 1 life? 75 million Baileys. When everyone is talking about it, someone has already made an offer. Those buyers who were about to leave because they couldn't buy the right things all came back, and their eyes were extremely hot. This is a good thing that can restore physical strength. Advertisement. 80 million Baileys. In just a few seconds, someone raised the price. The price of stamina pills has been soaring all the way, and everyone's enthusiasm for this finale item is abnormally high. 100 million Baileys. Someone in the VIP room spoke. 110 million Baileys. The bidder turned out to be Dao Scar. This guy didn't buy the right thing just now, so he naturally refused to let go of the heart-throbbing physical pills. This was already his bottom line price. Scar stared intently at Garrett's box, but surprisingly, he didn't see the bid from his opponent. I really don't know if this guy got lucky and made a fortune, and dared to bid against himself. Ask for flowers. It is very expensive to buy a pill at this price, but it does not mean that there is no competition. 120 million Baileys. Advertisement. The bidder was a rich man with a sinister smile on his face. These fools, in fact, hundreds of millions of Baileys are not very difficult to earn for the rich. The key is that having this thing means that they can get the protection of the strong. Hand over the physical pills, many powerful pirates are willing to provide shelter, this is his intention. 200 million Baileys. A lazy voice sounded from the corner of the venue. The soaring price of 80 million Baileys made the host's eyelids jump, but Garrett was about to go crazy with joy, feeling like his blood was about to burst into his veins. 200 million Baileys. A pill that His Royal Highness DE gave himself was auctioned for 200 million Baileys. It's too scary. He gave 10 pills to the auction house at once, which means 2 billion Baileys. How can I still make money here? It's just grabbing. And thinking of the expression of the mysterious boss DE taking out the physical strength pills, Garrett didn't know how many physical strength pills there were in the hands of the terrifying His Royal Highness DE. At the thought of being able to eat and drink with DE in the future, Garrett's heart became extremely hot, and he completely forgot the fact that he was a poor commander. Following the eyes of everyone, I saw a man with a golden punk hair and a lazy face sitting in the corner. First captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, Margot. The person who knew the goods immediately recognized it, and the scene suddenly became quiet with a gasp. Advertisement. 187. Artificial devil fruit. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The Whitebeard Pirates is currently recognized as the most powerful pirate group in the entire world, and it is also the strongest force among the four emperors. Margot is the captain of the first team of the Whitebeard Pirates. In fact, his status is equivalent to that of the deputy captain. Strength and reputation are absolutely strong in Grand Line. Dao Scar was shocked immediately. His face was uglier than that of his dead father. The whole scene was silent. The host swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. Ahem, 200 million Bailey once, twice, 3 times. Congratulations to this gentleman for winning the final auction item. The stamina pill was bought by Margot. The guy didn't do anything else after buying the stamina pill, and left the auction directly. Backstage at the auction house. Garrett walked in swaggeringly under the respectful leadership of the waiter. This time there were 10 stamina pills, but only one was auctioned off. I believe the high-level executives at the auction will give him an explanation for the remaining 9. After waiting for about 10 minutes, unhurried footsteps sounded from the corridor in the backstage of the auction. Advertisement. Garrett, who was sitting on the sofa, changed his eyes. Fooferfer, did you provide the body strength pill? Unique laughter. A man wearing a pink coat and patterned cropped pants walked in with a sly smile on his face. Doflamingo. Gatler's eyes changed, and the matter of the 7 warlords of the sea has been announced, and it is a well-known fact that King Doflamingo of Dressrosa has become a Shichibukai. Shichibukai was established as a counterweight to the 4 emperors, and any one of them is extremely powerful, definitely not accessible to a character of Garrett's level. Not only Garrett, but even Yi didn't expect that this auction would be Doflamingo's property, but thinking about it, this guy almost eats black and white, and it is most effective to have an auction to launder money. Reasonable. Seeing Garrett, whose complexion changed drastically, Doflamingo's sly smile became more intense. Fooferfer, tell me, how much is there? The aura on his body suddenly rose, and the murderous aura accumulated over the years alone made Garrett dripping with cold sweat and terrified. Brother Ming had already made up his mind to eat this kid in front of him if he didn't have any background. Hee, let's talk about it later. How much do you want? Advertisement. The ice-cold voice carried an air of Doflamingo's desperation. Brother Ming's pupils tightened suddenly, and 2 figures appeared in front of Garrett. They were Yi and Black Rose. It's been more than a year since I saw Yi. Doflamingo still can't forget the picture of Yi crushing Admiral. This guy is definitely at the level of 4 emperors. After the disappearance of 9 Snake Island, it has been rumored that Yi death, but how could Doflamingo believe such nonsense? Foo, I didn't expect that the person behind it turned out to be Your Excellency Yi. It's been a long time, but there are rumors that you have been wiped out by Marine. If you don't make a move, Your Excellency Yi will be a big deal. The remaining 9 coins, I want all the stamina pills, 200 million Baileys each. The premium part is my sincerity. If there are more, you can give them all to me, and buy them at a price of 150 million each. Quote. Dover Langming smiled and raised the corner of his mouth. I haven't seen you for more than a year, but I have a big appetite. Yi glanced at him lightly. If you want, you can replace them all with devil fruit. I don't lack Bailey. It's easy to say. I don't know if you have heard of artificial devil fruit. Doflamingo smiled slyly and took out a fruit with a strange appearance. This fruit looks similar to devil fruit, but Yi obviously feels that the power of devil fruit filled inside is much weaker. Could it be that Brother Ming has contacted Guy Sakurang now? Advertisement. System. Can it be absorbed? Yi asked directly. Quote. Closing square bracket. Yes, but this kind of energy must be synthesized into one upgraded chance. The sound of the system sounded slowly. I see, 4 for 1. Not bad. Man-made devil fruit. It's really a new thing. Yi put the fruit between his nose and sniffed it. He didn't know if Reiju could make this kind of man-made devil fruit. Upgraded the number of times I bought it. It can be traded. Each stamina pill requires at least 1 devil fruit of this kind, and Bailey makes up the rest. Yi knows that Brother Ming's production of this artificial devil fruit is limited, and in addition to cooperating with the big customer Kaido, those who can offer are definitely not many, but they have physical strength pills in their hands, so Lees naturally have to negotiate terms strongly. Foofer, Your Excellency Yi, this is devil fruit. Although it is man-made, it should be more difficult to obtain than your stamina pill. Doflamingo frowned and smiled strangely. Can't meet the transaction conditions. Then don't trade. Yi directly refused. Even if the chief pharmacist of the Kingdom of God gave such a thing as physical strength pills, it is not good to mass produce, and mass production will lead to the depreciation of physical strength pills. If Brother Ming is not willing to cooperate, Yi is not in a hurry for a while. Foofer, I promise you. Doflamingo gritted his teeth and agreed. These stamina pills are very important to him, and no one will think expensive things that save his life. Advertisement. 188. Roadblocker. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 188. If you agree, you will fulfill your promise. In front of DE, Doflamingo didn't dare to renege on his promise. After all, this man in front of him is a fierce man who dared to kill celestial dragons. 9 fresh man-made devil fruits are placed in front of DE, waiting for DE to choose. After a rough perception, there was no problem, and DE asked, "How much do you have? Is it artificial devil fruit?" "Foo-foo-foofer. All of them are here, and this kind of thing is not so easy to get, Your Excellency DE." Doflamingo said with a fake smile. "Leave it to me in the future, and you can talk to him about the rest." Leaving a word, DE snorted coldly, and directly summoned Kamui to leave with the Black Rose. Looking at the elusive boss, Garrett's legs were still trembling, and the clothes on his back were drenched in cold sweat, and he didn't dare to breathe. Doflamingo was a little better, looking at Garrett with changing eyes. This kind of small character actually negotiated with him, but DE said to him, he naturally didn't want to save face, so he could only talk to Garrett politely, negotiating about Bailey making up for the difference in the price of stamina pills. 157. Garrett feels like he is in the dark. Although the blood shark pirates are notorious, but in terms of real strength, they are not bad in the world, but they can only be regarded as third-rate goods in the Grand Line. Advertisement. Garrett never dreamed that he would have the opportunity to talk about cooperation with the majestic Shichibukai and King Dressrosa, which made him feel light, and the other party seemed to give him face very much, and the price was very good. 9 physical pill buckles lost the value of man-made devil fruit, but also made up 500 million Baileys. As Garrett, a pirate with a bounty of 80 million, this is the first time in his life to get 500 million Baileys. This feeling is really cool. Accompanied by Doflamingo politely, he sent Garrett all the way to the gate of the auction, because he didn't know when the elusive DE would come out again, and Mingo didn't dare to neglect anything. After all, in front of DE, he was just a businessman. "I'll send it here, Garrett, you can come to visit more in the future when you have time, fur. Brother Ming smiled politely. "You're being polite, you must be." Although Garrett felt lighthearted, he also knew how much he weighed, so he didn't dare to be too presumptuous. Hey, Garrett, you finally died. Lousy thought you were going to stay in it for the rest of your life." Scar, who competed with Garrett before, has been waiting at the door. This guy is ready to settle the score. But because Brother Ming was standing in the shadow of the door, he didn't see the Scar all of a sudden. Scar. Advertisement. Garrett froze for a moment. "Is it your friend?" Or. Mingo frowned. He was polite to Garrett to save D, but if anyone dared to shit and pee in front of him, then Doflamingo would not. It would be chilling because of its cruelty. "It's just an enemy. He insulted me back then," Garrett said bitterly, because he was crushed by the Scar back then. Licking shoes on the ground. Fufurofurfur. Doflamingo suddenly laughed slyly. Today, in order to give this soy sauce character enough face, he suppressed his anger BJDJ for a long time. Since he is the enemy of DE, it doesn't matter if he gives this kind of favor. "By the way, fire. Fufurfurfur, my auction house is not a place where rats can pee casually." Doflamingo stepped forward with a grin, his narrow sunglasses were full of cruel colors. Seeing Doflamingo's Scar, his heart beat wildly, his face turned pale. He didn't understand why Doflamingo appeared suddenly, and seemed to be looking for trouble for himself. Doflamingo. 7 warlords of the sea. Yes, I'm sorry. I mistook the person. Puff. Advertisement. Blood shot out, and 5 colored lines pierced through the Scar in an instant, cutting the pirate with a bounty of more than 200 million to pieces on the ground. "Pick up the next one." Doflamingo gave orders to the staff behind him coldly. Garrett broke into a cold sweat. This guy, if he said anything wrong, he would kill him. The smugness in his heart disappeared without a trace, and he finally realized that the guy in front of him who was being polite to him was 7 warlords of the sea. Also understands how powerful Lord DE is when he falls to the ground, so that Doflamingo can be polite to his little brother. After saying goodbye to Brother Ming tremblingly, the staff of the auction handed over the giant Helding and his mercenary contract to Garrett, and also handed over the auction Murloc Hody to him. A gigantic giant, a dainty mermaid, and a bum like Garrett form a beautiful sight on Sabayati Embankment Avenue. During this period, DE and Black Rose didn't plan to appear too much. Before the prehistoric island was established, Dai didn't intend to make them aware of his movements. The two were already waiting for Garrett to bring Hayarden and the mermaid over on the Jindy. The location of the Jindy was relatively hidden, so there was no need to worry about being discovered. "Hey, stop, Neil, the 2 slaves are mine." Advertisement. 189. Another celestial dragons die. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 189. Hey, stop, kneel, the 2 slaves are mine. Just when Garrett was feeling elated, he was suddenly stopped by someone. The one blocking the way was none other than a bloated celestial dragon with a transparent hood and a face high above the sky. At this moment, the celestial dragon is riding a strong slave dog, surrounded by armed bodyguards. Garrett felt that his good mood was suddenly broken in two, and what followed was extremely annoyed, why he was so unlucky. Rhodes World Saint spoke to you, didn't you hear? The bodyguard stepped forward and cursed angrily, pointing the muzzle of the black hole directly at Garrett. If this kind of thing happened to ordinary people, according to Garrett's bloodliness, he would go straight up and do it, but when it came to celestial dragons, he felt that he was scared instantly. This is celestial dragons. The real-world nobles call Marine Admiral to beat someone if they lose a single hair. Garrett is terrified of getting punched, especially with these celestial dragons who completely treat people as people. Advertisement. Boom. Celestial dragons Rhodes World fired directly, hitting Halding behind Garrett with one shot, and the giant Halding let out a muffled grunt. The wound caused by the bullet was not too big, but he could only stare angrily and dare not make a move. Crack. The bullet was loaded again. Rhodes World was a little upset that he missed Garrett's head at close range, and aimed again this time. Kill him. Dee's icy voice sounded in Garrett's head. These celestial dragons are always too arrogant. If you kill them, you will kill them. Garrett was terrified in his heart, but he couldn't resist Dee's order. After the distinguished heavenly gods, he could only obey Dee's will. The blood shark Garrett showed his bloody scene. His body was like a shark in the sea, and his body led him forward to attack. The armed color is wrapped around the arm, and the nails become like sharp long blades with a bang. Boom. The gunshots from Rhodes World sounded, and the bodyguards around were also terrified. They dared to offend the celestial dragons. There is no redemption. But Garrett's head was lowered to avoid the bullet, the black nails were cut, and the head of Ross World's holy fat pig flew up and rolled down on the ground. The screen froze instantly. Advertisement. All the passers-by around were originally gloating, but now they are afraid to avoid it, and they all looked at Garrett with horrified eyes, and already marked death on his head. Those bodyguards holding guns also had stiff expressions. They thought it was just an ordinary offense, but this guy would kill Rhodes World Saint directly and they would definitely not survive as bodyguards. Kill him. Bastard. Bang bang bang. A series of gunshots sounded, and dense bullet rain fell, but Garrett is still a pirate with a bounty of 80 million Baileys, and he still has some skills, at least compared with these ignorant bodyguards and fat-minded celestial dragons. His ability is definitely crushing level. I saw Garrett quickly shuttled through the bodyguard group, bringing up a bunch of blood flowers every time he passed by. Either his neck was cut or his chest was cut open, basically a fatal blow. In less than a minute, the celestial dragons Rhodes World Saint, his bodyguards, and the slave dogs under them all turned into corpses and fell to the ground. The giant Halding and the mermaid Hody are completely confused. Is this guy crazy? Asking for flowers. Point 0. Garrett's current state is very bad, because those things just now were caused by Dee's forced attachment and killing. After the killing, there was endless fear. It's over, it's over. Kill the celestial dragons, Admiral is coming. Garrett, I'm over. Garrett, who was ashen-faced, murmured in a daze. His armed color had faded, and his fingers had returned to their normal appearance. Advertisement. Screams sounded, and the frozen crowd finally dispersed in all directions. No one wanted to be with a guy who killed the celestial dragons, and it would be bad if they got involved. 0. In the distance, Doflamingo, who was about to go back, also shook his head. This subordinate is really daring. In his eyes, Garrett is already a dead man. Boss. Garrett's only hope now is Dee. If Dee does not save him, the only thing waiting for him is death. HMPH. That's all I can do. Dee snorted coldly. Don't worry, you won't die. Hey Jin, the trouble was solved in the past. Yes, master. In the space of Kamui came the voice of the sun god winged dragon Noldoran, also known as Hey Jin. Now that he has seen the horror of the sun god winged dragon, the black arrow is the little black snake that Dee brought from Nine Snake Island. It has grown to nearly 200 meters, one size bigger than the marine warship. Now the black arrow has been sticking to the black gold in the Kamui space, as if following it would be beneficial. Master, I want to go there too. Hey Arrow issued a humanized begging, and as time went by, Hey Arrow's IQ seemed to have increased a little. Advertisement. 190. Sun God Winged Dragon. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This little guy. Black Rose chuckled. Just let him go, he's probably bored. Go. Don't cause trouble for me, and come back after Heijin is finished. Dee waved his hand. After saying that, 2 lights and shadows, one golden and one black slipped out of the Golden Emperor. The black one entered the ocean, while the golden one shot up into the sky. turning into a faint golden light passing through the clouds, towards Garrett's the direction gallops away. Run away. The mercenary Helding reacted and shouted loudly. Escape. After regaining his senses, Garrett finally realized that trouble was coming, and was about to run away, but remembering that Herding and the 490 mermaid were what DE designated, he didn't dare to give up, so he hurriedly led the two of them crazy flee. Hey, do you want to run away? You can't even eat a meal, don't all the pirates want to prove themselves by killing celestial dragons? Advertisement. Kizaru's slightly angry voice sounded from a distant place. He was on the island near Sabayati embankment, and was preparing to eat. Unexpectedly, the celestial dragons were killed by an emergency telegram from Marine, who was stationed on the island of Sabayati embankment. What kind of mood is there to eat? Last time that bastard DE killed celestial dragons, naval headquarters was very busy. If pirates kill celestial dragons again at this time, let alone the world government, ordinary people all over the world will think that Marine's incompetence. What's even more frightening is that if this becomes a trend, any pirate who wants to be famous will kill a celestial dragons, and the whole world will be in trouble. The golden light is extremely fast, and the last hair comes first. Admiral Kizaru appeared in front of the three who were running wildly for their lives, overlooking the leader Garrett. This guy also had bloodline in his hand, the obvious murderer. Have you ever tasted what it feels like to be kicked by light? A cross of golden lights lit up on his toes. The golden laser light instantly penetrated the air and shot towards Garrett's head. Garrett's face was ashen, he could only feel the golden color in front of his eyes, and the only thought in his heart was, unexpectedly, Admiral Kizaru. Boom. The light speed kick was intercepted by another even bigger golden light in the air. A large piece of shadow fell from the sky, covering the surrounding buildings, and the terrifying wind pressure fell from the sky, and those buildings made an overwhelmed rattling sound, and 10 buildings burst apart. Advertisement. The gigantic winged dragon of the sun god descended from the sky, and its sharp claws caught Kizaru's light speed kick with a chirp. Kizaru was shot out by the horrible power on the paw. In the sound of the impact, all the rows of houses were broken, and finally hit the mountain to stop. Doflamingo, who already felt that Garrett was dead, stopped, his eyes widened, and he stared at this scene dumbfounded, feeling that his head was not enough. What's this? Giant bird. Golden giant bird fruit. Ancient species. Phantom beast species. Or beast. Garrett, you guys come up. Heijin made a low voice, his huge head looked down at the three people below, and one side of his wings was lowered. Garrett was stunned. It was the first time he saw the pterosaur, the sun god, and Heijin had been staying in the Kamui space since his evolution, except for Xiaohei, Di and others, no one else knew about it. Garrett felt a familiar smell from Heijin, it was the smell of the boss. You are? He asked excitedly and tremblingly. Originally he thought that the boss would come to save him in person, but he didn't expect it to be like this. I am Heijin, the pet of owner Di. Advertisement. Sun god winged dragon explained. Pet. Garrett stopped breathing. It's inevitable. Such a powerful pet, how powerful is his boss? Admiral Kizaru can be defeated by a pet, it flew like a ball. Before Garrett could continue to ask questions, the sun god winged dragon flapped its huge golden metal wings, and rolled him, Halding, and the mermaid Hody into his square, which was as wide as a playground. A strange force emanates from the black gold metal feathers, forming 3 transparent air shields to protect them. What? It's terrible. Do you want to run away? With an angry voice, a golden light came, and Kizaru leapt high to face the pterodactyl, his eyes full of shock and anger. A dignified marine admiral was blown away by a big bird who didn't know where it came from. Or some devil fruit that changed. In front of so many people in Sabayati, he would definitely be ashamed when it got out. 8-foot Chong Guyu. The angry Huang 0.18 directly used his big move, and a large number of powerful light bullets fell towards Heijin. I saw the sun god winged dragon spread its wings, and the huge wings of more than 500 meters can be said to cover the sky. As the card of Yu-Gi-Oh!, the winged dragon naturally has its own dignity. Human beings are nothing but tiny beings, yet they dare to challenge themselves. Scorching sun storm. Under the whirling of the wings, a golden whirlwind was created instantly, like the end of the world. The sky was illuminated by a big emperor. The scorching high temperature caused the ground to crack directly, and those golden light bullets hit the storm with crackling crackles. Constantly a circle of violent air waves exploded. Advertisement. 191. Marine. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Admiral Kizaru's complexion changed wildly, because he was shocked to find that the storm fanned out by this giant bird was even stronger than his 8-foot Chong Guyu. All the Guyu attacked in, like a mud cow entering the sea, without any reaction. The storm became more and more violent, the speed was extremely fast, and finally turned into a doomsday disaster blockbuster, covering most of the third island directly. Admiral Kizaru's figure turned into a light burst and retreated. This kind of powerful attack could only be avoided first. But Heijin's speed was not slow at all, piercing through the clouds and breaking through the sky, instead appearing in the sky above Kizaru, under the flap of huge wings. Densely packed golden wings descended from the sky. All over the sky feathers. Boom boom boom. The ground trembled for a while, and the place hit by the feather bombardment directly exploded a huge crater with a diameter of more than 20 meters. These feathers shattered immediately after hitting the target, turning into energy and disappearing cleanly. The unlucky Kizaru elementalized dodged, but the elementalized body also vomited blood after being shot by the feathers. Immediately, several feathers were hit, and he was nailed to the ground like Jesus, until the 19th feathers turned into energy collapse. A look of exhaustion flashed across Heijin's eyes. As a card of God, it possesses the power of God. This kind of power can cause damage even through elementalization, but it cannot kill the opponent directly for the time being. Advertisement. The painful Kizaru was covered in blood, and he could only watch helplessly as the pterosaur disappeared into the sky carrying several people. The moment the pterodactyl disappeared, the warships on the sea surface that had already been on alert immediately launched, chasing in the direction of the pterodactyl at top speed. Damn it, didn't even Kizaru Admiral catch it? Vice Admiral's flying squirrel ordered the battleship to set sail at full speed. He saw that the speed of this big golden bird was much slower than before. It was either completely exhausted or injured. Naturally, he refused to let go of such a good opportunity. Flying Squirrel, who has just been promoted to Vice Admiral, had such a hard time getting this chance. Full speed ahead. We must take those guys down. The Flying Squirrel gave the order, and the warship charged away like an arrow leaving the string, stirring up a high wave on the sea. Heijin, who had been waiting in the sea for a long time, finally got the chance and didn't need Di's orders. Seeing the hunting heart, it saw the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral's battleship coming and bursting directly from the bottom of the sea. It is definitely a huge adult with a length of 200 meters. As he grows up, the scales all over his body have become several times tougher, and his own strength growth is also extremely terrifying. This guy is also a black water snake, the top beast under the top 10 beasts in ancient times. Roar. Advertisement. Amidst the roar, the warship of the Flying Squirrel staggered violently in the sea like a drunk, and almost capsized directly. Before the frightened and angry Flying Squirrel had time to react, Heijin's huge head had already emerged from the sea water, and the thick snake body tightly wrapped around the warship, biting down on the crowd at the bow of the ship. Boom. The Flying Squirrel broke into a cold sweat from fright. When did sea kings appear here on Sabayati embankment? Are this kind of extremely aggressive sea kings? Armed color quickly wrapped around the long knife. Swallow returns to cut. 50 meters long, a swallow-like slash erupted from his long knife, facing Heijin's huge body. Go to hell. Damn sea kings. The bite just now directly caused the cabin to be distorted and deformed, the deck was shattered, and a large number of Marines were killed or injured. Like ketchup, smeared on twisted hulls. This is the Flying Squirrel's most proud slash, and even Admiral Zephyr once praised him for his great success. Advertisement. Clang. Sparks splashed everywhere, and Yang Guizhen left a white mark on Heijin's body, without even cutting through the scales, but the huge force caused Heijin's body to be shaken back for a certain distance, and also caused Heijin to burst into pieces. Heartache. In the frightened eyes of the Flying Squirrel, the hard head of the angry black arrow swooped down again, and with a loud bang, it directly bit the battleship into two pieces. Less 473 seawater, the whole body is injured. Come back, Black Arrow. De's voice sounded in his consciousness. The winged dragon Heijin had already brought 3 people aboard the Golden Emperor, there was no need to continue wasting energy. The Black Arrow turned into a black shadow and quickly jumped into the water, disappearing. At this moment, the good island of Sabayati has completely turned into a mess, like the ruins after a nuclear war, swept by the scorching sun and storm, and there is no good house to be found. Doflamingo is also completely dumbfounded. Before that, De and Black Rose had abused Admiral. Now it seems that there is another, big bird, in the camp with one. This guy. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. The death of Rhodes World Saint caused an uproar in Marine. De killed the Celestial Dragons just over a year ago, and now it is happening again. Have the guts to slay Celestial Dragons on the island. Advertisement. 192. The sea is not calm again. Open black lens bracket seeking a reward. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. The death of Rhodes World Saint caused an uproar in Marine. De killed the Celestial Dragons just over a year ago, and now it is happening again. Have the guts to slay Celestial Dragons on the island. The problem is, Admiral Kizaru went there in person, but he didn't even get the other party's hair, but sent himself to the Marine Medical Department, which is a shame. During this time, Kong has been promoted to the commander-in-chief of the world's armed forces, and has handed over all military affairs in Qinghai to Sengoku. Sengoku has also changed from a marshal candidate to a marine marshal. Sengoku's face was ashen, and there were thick documents on the table. In front of him are Marine Vice Admiral Garp, Marine Admiral Akainu, Marine Admiral Kuzan, where Kizaru's place is still vacant because he is currently receiving treatment in the medical room. Have you all heard about it? Sengoku asked, frowning so tightly that water could flow out. Crack, click, click. Advertisement. The sound of eating senbei was extremely ear-piercing, and Garp, wearing a dog hat, ate Sengoku's senbei in big mouthfuls. Garp, don't eat anymore, celestial dragons are dead again. The guys in the Holy Land should be jumping in anger now, and there will be another pile of troubles by then. Sengoku said, restraining his temper. It's up to you to make a decision, I'll listen to you. Garp continued to eat senbei recklessly. He doesn't like this kind of nerve-wracking thing, so it's better to ask him to enter a more worry-free day. Speechless, Sengoku sighed wearily, and looked at Akainu and Kuzan. The criminals have been investigated. The captain of the Blood Shark Pirates, Blood Shark Garrett, a bounty of 80 million Baileys, the mercenary Helding, the mermaid Hody. As for the bird, there is no information yet. There is also no information about the black snake that attacked the flying squirrel Vice Admiral, Akainu said. The current situation is getting more and more complicated. In the past, there was BJCF, DE who threatened the balance between us and the pirates. Now there is a blood shark. No, it should be said that the giant bird and the black snake are not enough to worry about. The conclusion given by Kizaru is that the combat power of the monster bird is above the Admiral class. Tell us your own opinions. Sengoku looked serious. The confrontation between Marine and Four Emperors has gradually stabilized after the establishment of Shichibukai, but now a pirate group with almost Emperor-level strength suddenly appeared. The existence of this strength is enough to threaten naval headquarters and the world. Peace. The past history and previous voyage routes of this person in the Blood Shark Pirates have been checked. If you follow these traces, there should be clues. As long as you find any clues, you will definitely find this guy. Akainu was angry. Soundtrack. Marshal, let's wait and see what happens. A monster bird of this strength is probably not something that the Blood Shark Pirates can control, and there is also the Black Snake Sea Kings who actually defeated the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral. This is very abnormal. I worry about their backs. Kuzan also spoke, and compared to Akainu's aggressiveness, he tended to be more stable. Advertisement. Worry about what? Will the person behind this be in contact with that guy DE? Kuzan expressed his concerns. DE hadn't appeared for more than a year. Kuzan knew that DE should still be alive, and was alive as a great threat. DE. It shouldn't be him. This strange bird should be more than 1 year old. If he had this helper, he should have used it long ago. I'm afraid it's those invisible forces. Forget it. These things now I have no clue. Akainu, Kuzan, you two go to find the clues of the Blood Shark Pirates, and let me know if you have any news. In addition, set a reward order to the reward department. Blood Shark Garrett, 500 million Bailey. Black Snake, 300 million Bailey. Golden Bird, 500 million Bailey. The reward order for the Blood Shark Pirates was quickly distributed all over the world. New World, in the waters of the Whitebeard Pirates. Father, these young people are really becoming more and more lawless now. I just came back from Sabayati Embankment, and I didn't expect such a big thing to happen there. Margot clicked his tongue for a while, looking at the newspaper in his hand. Sha la 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 la, it's not your style to be surprised by anything, Marco. Whitebeard joked, and then took the newspaper from Marco. Advertisement. The other captains and crew members around also gathered together. Rhodes World Saint died. Died at the hands of Blood Shark Garrett. Really? Dad? Joes, who was standing next to him, said in surprise. The Sabayati Embankment is destroyed like this. These guys are very motivated. Vista said with a smile. The rest of the pirate crew also exclaimed. The key point is that the one with the highest bounty this time is the Golden Bird. Animals. Although there have been animals among Marine's wanted objects, it is still worth buying one with such a high bounty. And the Black Snake worth 300 million Baileys. Did this guy's pirate group run a zoo before? Many doubts emerged from everyone's minds. Gu la 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 la, the sea will not be calm again. Whitebeard's eyes sparkled, and he let out a heroic laugh. Advertisement. 193. All parties are in action. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Revolutionary Army, in a hidden area that no one knows. Monkey. D. Long has arranged for the cadres of the Revolutionary Army to find the leader of the so-called Blood Shark Pirates. He is not the pirates of Whitebeard. As the Revolutionary Army, they have their own intelligence agencies all over the world. Although the news of Admiral Kizaru's defeat was blocked, his intelligence personnel sent the news back a few days ago. The golden bird that defeated Kizaru is now offering a reward of 500 million Baileys. This bird alone is enough to threaten the existence of the four emperors level threat to naval headquarters, such a powerful force. Monkey. D. Long has no reason not to allow himself to be wooed. Compared with the individual strength of the golden bird, Monkey. D. Long cared more about the forces behind the golden bird, including the Sea King's black snake that sank the flying squirrel Vice Admiral. If these are controlled by humans, then this ability is absolutely terrifying. In order to find the forces behind it as soon as possible, Dragon has arranged for Ivankov and Lightning to start collecting relevant information everywhere. Except for them, those powerful pirates in New World were all astonished by the sudden emergence of the top force, the Blood Shark Pirates. A small pirate group that was previously unknown became famous overnight. They fled swaggeringly. Besides the DE monster back then, the Blood Shark Pirates is the second such thing. Advertisement. Just when everyone was astonished by these things, another big thing happened at the same time. Fisher Tiger, the leader of the Sun Pirates, was ambushed by Rear Admiral Starro Berry on the way to send the slave Clar back to his hometown. He was seriously injured and died because he refused to accept human blood for rescue. The Sun Pirates announced their disbandment and split into two major pirate groups. The Murloc Pirates were led by Jinbei, while the Dragon Pirates were led by Arlong. Among them, Jinbei of the Murloc Pirates accepted Shichibukai to protect the Fishman Island invitation, and to assist Marine to fight at sea, while Arlong is away from home. But just a few days after Jinbei left the Fishman Island, Princess Otahime of the Fishman Island was assassinated by humans during a mass speech. The internal change led by the former captain of the Dragon Palace King Hody Jones broke out. The Dragon Palace King Neptune of the Fishman Island was defeated, and all humans on the Fishman Island were expelled and killed. However, these things seem to be a little unknown under the big event of killing celestial dragons, and few people talk about it except for some people who care about it. Heijin, the winged dragon of the sun god, carried the three of them through the clouds and fog. It didn't take long to find the Jindy sailing slowly in the sky. Heijin shrank rapidly and disappeared into the Kamui space, and the three of them also landed on the Jindy deck. Gulu. Garrett feels like he is in a dream, everything is so unreal, beating Admiral Kizaru. Talking about business with Shichibukai, and then holding Wutahua's cash bank in his hand. Shouldn't these things be in a dream? Advertisement. He pinched himself hard and jumped up in pain, only then did he confirm that he was not dreaming. Old boss. Garrett looked at DE with timid eyes, and asked tentatively. Hyrding and Heidi looked at DE and Black Rose vigilantly. It's a good job. I'll give you the money to expand the Blood Shark Pirates. From now on, your pirates will be the pirates established by Prehistoric Island in the name of the country. Dai Yi said. That money. Garrett was stunned, and finally realized that the little money in Di's mouth was the balance in his hand for the exchange of artificial fruits, 500 million Baileys. Oh my god, the boss is the boss, 500 million Baileys is that little money. Garrett's heart almost jumped out, his face was as red as a pig's liver with excitement, nervousness, and excitement same. Quote. Expanding the Blood Shark Pirates. What else? A pirate group established in the name of the country as a prehistoric island. Wait, isn't the prehistoric island the deserted island before? Except for beasts. When will there be a country? Advertisement. After calming down his excitement, Garrett was shocked to find that there was an astonishing amount of information in De's words just now. Gulu. Garrett will swallow when he is nervous now, even he can't restrain himself. The key is that this is the real boss, not to mention De's boss, even Jin Yi. Yes, Garrett has already identified Pterodactyl. It is my own Jin Yi. Even Jin Yi can crush Admiral level standing. This is too scary. Boss, is the pirate group established in the name of the country, Wangdas? The country? Garrett asked tentatively. Now that he has changed his mind as the boss, if he can get in the relationship with DE, he has to get in. You don't need to worry about these. According to what I said, they are used to expand your pirate group and recruit some capable people. Don't recruit anything else. DE said coldly, but looked to the side. Heidi the giant and Heidi the mermaid. The giant Heyrden has met His Excellency DE. Hyrding's face was pale, and he saluted with the most respected warrior etiquette. Because he found out that the boy in front of him is DE, the demon known to everyone in the world and the Grand Line, who was wanted by Marine before, and DE is back. Advertisement. 194. Giant Soldier Pirates. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Because he found out that the boy in front of him is DE, the demon known to everyone in the world and the Grand Line, who was wanted by Marine before, and DE is back. If this shocking news is sold, many intelligence agencies are willing to buy it at a high price, of course, except for Doflamingo's, because that guy's relationship as a partner is naturally clear about which is more important, and he can return it now. Not confident enough to provoke DE. Hylden, the giant warrior. Yi asked. Hilding smiled wryly. As a tribe that hides from the world, the giants rarely come out, and they usually only come out when they reach the elite level. Hilding also won the title of warrior among the giants, and he has always hoped to revive the giant soldier thieves group, so I entered the Grand Line to find clues. But Hilding already understands the current situation. Knowing the secret of Yi's comeback, he may not be as simple as 073, who only served for 1 year. It's right down. How much do you know about the giant tribe? Yi said what he cared about. If you can find the giant tribe, forming a giant army is also a good choice. Giants with exaggerated natural combat power are definitely a powerful existence that can control the battlefield. Forgive me, Your Excellency Yi, I can't tell you. Hilding said righteously. As a new star emerging from the giant race, he has the loyal and upright nature of a giant warrior, and he will not betray the giant race because of these. Because many forces are coveting the powerful combat power of the giants, and even Marine tries every means to trick the giants to help them work. It can be seen that the giants are like sweet pastries in the world of pirates, and they are coveted by countless people. Advertisement. Don't be so nervous, I don't intend to deal with your tribe. Have you heard of the giant pirates? Giant soldiers pirates. Hilding's face changed slightly. He came to the Grand Line to find the reason for the disbandment of the giant soldiers pirates and to revive the La Pirates. Bosses Brigitte and Dory are under my command. Yi said indifferently. What? Lord Brigitte, Lord Dory is under your command. Hilding couldn't believe it, because Brigitte and Dory had disappeared for more than 100 years, but Yi in front of him didn't seem to be joking. You will find out when you go back. Tell me the detailed location of the giant tribe, and I will reform the giant pirates. No, it will make you stronger. After talking about this, Yi already understood that Hilding will not leave, and the presence of Brigitte and Dory is the best attraction. Yi looked at the mermaid Hody. This small and beautiful mermaid lady has a waist and hips, graceful lines, and a pair of big hazy eyes full of lovely mist. Mermaid. Yi asked. Well, I'm Hody. Hody replied weakly. System, can you determine the energy source of this mermaid? Advertisement. Yi asked in his heart. Unable to judge the need for host to go to the Fishman Island to find the answer, BJEF. The system's mechanically synthesized sound is non-negotiable. Have you come into contact with any special items? Special items. I'm just an ordinary mermaid picker. I was kidnapped by pirates from the Fishman Island. I don't know what the adults are talking about. Hody the mermaid replied suspiciously. Picking murlocs. Yi frowned and didn't say much. The devil fruit energy on Hyda's body is very weak. Judging from her appearance, it should not be that she ate devil fruit, it may have something else to do with it. Forget it, you will know about it when you get to the Fishman Island. You guys take a good rest first, go to the prehistoric island with me, and wait for something to arrange for you in a few days. Yes, boss. Yes, Your Highness Yi. Advertisement. After arranging newcomers, Yi absorbed 8 artificial fruits and successfully obtained 2 upgraded times. Now there are 7 upgraded times in total, 1 large and small fruit, and 1 artificial fruit. Yi plans to hand over this artificial fruit to Reiju go analyze and see if anyone can get something useful. The next time is to rush back to the prehistoric island. After a few days of journey, the Jindy landed slowly on the prehistoric island. From afar, I saw the giants Brigitte and Dory in battle, and the sound of weapons clashing resounded through the jungle. This is really Lord Brigitte and Lord Dory. The giant Heyerden was shocked, and his mouth was open. Since the prehistoric island itself is a lot of scattered islands, if it hadn't been for the Jindy to land here on its own initiative, even on the outlying islands the 2 giants could not be found. So in the years to come, Brigitte and Dory basically disappeared. Just got off the boat, Hancock, who was wearing a tall cheongsam with slits and showing white and greasy legs, has already thrown himself into Yi's arms, blushing on her pretty face, and said coquettishly, Your Highness, why have you and Sister Mei Kong been away for so long? As for Garrett and the giants, they were automatically ignored by Hancock. Squeezing Hancock's flushed face, it made her snort for a while, and Black Rose couldn't help turning her eyes white. Yi laughed, It's only been a few days. It's not been a long time. Hancock, you have to work hard, you are busy with the next ones. Quote. Advertisement. 195. Arrive at the Fishman Island. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Yi has already planned to release stamina pills and some simple battle uniforms in the prehistoric island in the near future, so as to attract the attention of pirates and make this place a huge trading center and information center. It was to make Hancock emperor, ostensibly to control the country. Ahem, Hancock's innate arrogance and glamorous temperament have gradually emerged over time. Except for being very innocent and cute in front of Yi and Black Rose, he treats others the same as in the original book. She is cold, born with conquerors, she can naturally take on more important responsibilities. Woo, Your Highness wants to take me out to sea. I have been waiting for a long time. Hancock said excitedly with beautiful eyes. These days, you should honestly follow me and Sister Rose, and learn how to deal with the affairs of the prehistoric island. Soon I will make the prehistoric island an independent country. Hancock, you are my chosen empress, ha ha ha, but don't let me down. Dee laughed loudly. Hancock was surprised from ear to ear, nervous and expectant at the same time. Does becoming an empress mean sharing more with His Royal Highness Dee? Then will he like me more? Advertisement. Time passed slowly. 3 months have passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the prehistoric island has completely changed its appearance. A base is established on the central island. The base is surrounded by departments responsible for mining, metallurgy, forging, pharmaceuticals, etc., and a special transfer point has also been set up. Most of the resources are sent back to the Kingdom of God, used for the development of the Kingdom of God, while the remaining part was left on the prehistoric island. Rows of standard and brand new buildings appear on the island, and the part outside the high wall is divided into commercial areas. In the future, it will be a place for pirates to trade, and the people responsible for the island's security are the Blood Shark pirates and giant soldier sea thieves. Blood Shark Garrett has expanded the population to about 500 people, all of whom are elites. After seeing the power of the giants, they are also willing to join the Blood Shark pirates. The giant pirates currently only have 3 leaders, Brigitte, Dory, and Helding. As for the news about the giant village, Helding has already told Dee in detail, and hopes that he can bring the stubborn giants out as soon as possible. Join Dee's command. The basic base center of the prehistoric island has been established, including the Wild Beast Paradise branch, and the defense system has also begun to improve, including the establishment of some basic commodity trading centers in each island, and the guards are also in place. In addition to the fact that there are no residents and no reputation, this place seems to be the embryonic form of an archipelago country. At the same time, Dee asked Garrett to release the news that the island has stamina pills. At that time, a batch will be released at a reasonable price. First, the reputation of the prehistoric island will be released, and when it reaches a certain level, it will directly declare the independence of the king. Advertisement. These days, Hancock has been obediently following Dee, watching with his own eyes how Sister Black Rose helps Dee deal with various things, and she learns from them. Of course, it is more about learning Dee's way of managing the country. The country of Qinghai has always been handed over to her to manage. But Kuina and Bissy worked harder. During this time, Kuina successfully awakened the sword energy and entered the ranks of sword masters. The 15-year-old sword master is also an amazing achievement, but it is still very difficult in the hands of Black Rose. Vulnerable, which made Kuina all the more energized. After sorting out the things on the prehistoric island, everything is stable in the Kingdom of God. Both Enel and Hawkeye are progressing smoothly. After defeating 33 swordsmen in a row, Hawkeye successfully advanced to the Great Swordsman and accepted Shichibukai's invitation. Rot. Dee plans to go to the Fishman Island, and bring Hody and Black Rose to the Golden Emperor. As for the Black Arrow, they are basically stocked on the prehistoric island. The food here is too rich. This guy is now close to 300 mi, the strength has increased a lot compared to before, and the winged dragon Hagen also temporarily stayed on the prehistoric island. After all, Hagen's strength is very reliable now. 0. Jindy does not need coating, relying on strong electric power can isolate the pressure of seawater. Navigate directly from the seabed and enter the deep sea tunnel. 10,000 meters under the sea. Advertisement. There was no light to be seen, except for the blue fluorescence emitted by the deep sea fish, and the shocking huge pupils of the sea kings, but after Dee released a little bit of killing momentum, these sea kings basically did not interfere. It means that one by one hides farther than anything else. Although Conquerors has not been awakened yet, Dee has a feeling that it is coming soon. After the Jindy sailed in the deep sea for several days, finally, a ray of light shone down from the ocean. Sunlight. The Black Rose standing on the bow looked at the light falling on the white palm and murmured. Dee also looked up at the energy body in the sky that released light and heat like a scorching sun. This is 10,000 meters deep sea, and that thing is not the sun. Sister Rose, Your Highness, this is Yangshu Eve, and my picking work revolves around it. Mermaid Hody timidly explained. Dee froze for a moment, picking dead. Advertisement. 196. The Fishman Island Chaos. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hody nodded without explaining much, and swam straight to Yangshu Eve. As a mermaid, she was extremely fast in the water, and disappeared from everyone's sight after a few graceful tail swings. After a while, Hody had already come down with a glowing bubble like a light bulb, and handed it to Dee respectfully. This is. Dee frowned. Yangshu Eve can still pick. This is the first time I heard it. This bulb-like thing was slightly warm in the hand, and made Dee feel the familiar smell of Hody, similar to the smell of devil fruit, but not. This is the companion bubble of Yangshu Eve. Every year, 367, we, the Fishman Island, arrange a large number of mermaids to come and pick it. This kind of light bubble can last for a whole year, said Hody proudly. Many of the decorations on the Fishman Island and the light sources on the island before came from the accompanying light bubbles of Yangshu Eve. Advertisement. System. Can it be absorbed? Dee couldn't help asking in surprise, if this Sunshine Eve, which is as big as the sun, can absorb it with its accompanying light bubbles, then as long as he can get rid of these guys, he probably won't have to worry about the number of upgrades. Unable to absorb. The system refused indifferently. Empty joy. But host's current ability is strong enough to absorb Yangshu Eve. The sound of the system sounded again. Yangshu Eve. Dee couldn't help looking at the sun in the deep sea. Yangshu Eve, this guy's energy is estimated to be terrifying. Is the current ability strong enough? Is it the control of the existing ability? After passing through Yangshu Eve, the fish in the deep sea became more and more. Because of the sunshine, many gorgeous corals and fishes of different varieties began to grow. Not long after, an island surrounded by huge double-layer bubbles appeared in front of the Jindy. Advertisement. It's almost there, Your Highness Dee, thank you so much. Mermaid Hody was very pleasantly surprised. She didn't expect to be able to return to the Fishman Island, all thanks to the help of Dee. The Jindy passed through the double-layer bubble smoothly, and because there was Hody the mermaid, it was not blocked, so the Jindy anchored in a secluded harbor. Thank you so much, His Highness Dee, I didn't expect that I would be able to come back. In order to express my gratitude, I want to take you to meet our king, His Majesty Neptune. Sorry for concealing my identity all the time. I am in charge of picking Hody, the mermaid captain of Papa. Hody said apologetically. As a small captain, she is qualified to meet the king. Dee smiled lightly. It turned out that this Hody was still a small captain of the Fishman Island, but it didn't matter. I came here to check the reason for the energy on Hody. Now I have figured it out. Come here, Princess Shirahoshi in the Fishman Island. As a time traveler, Dee will naturally not let go of this famous person Poseidon. Of course that's good. Just lead the way, Hody. Dee and Black Rose followed behind Hody and headed for the Fishman Island Dragon Palace. As the three of them marched, Hody's face became more and more strange. The houses on both sides of the street were empty at the moment. According to Hody's memory, the Fishman Island should be the busiest time at this time. It's a scene of hilarity. Why is it so quiet? At this moment, a few scattered mermaids ran quickly behind the three of them, as if there was something urgent to rush forward. Hody grabbed a passing Murloc. What happened? Why did everyone disappear? Hody, you're back. The Murloc was stunned for a moment, recognized Hody, and immediately said pleasantly, hurry up and hide. Now that King Neptune has stepped down, the former king's army is being hunted down. Advertisement. What? How could this be? Wasn't King Neptune fine when I left? Hody asked in surprise. Princess Otahime was assassinated by humans a few days ago, and now the Fishman Island is under the control of Hody Jones. You hurry up, it will be too late if you are caught. King Neptune and several princes are being escorted today execution at Geelong Cador Square. Stop talking, I'm going to see. Passers-by hurriedly left and ran towards Geelong Cod Square. Hody's complexion became very bad upon hearing this, and she looked at Dee with begging eyes. Your Highness Dee, let's go, I also want to meet the Dragon Palace King. The corners of Dee's mouth raised slightly. This Neptune is really bad, he was publicly executed for betraying by his subordinates. Geelong Caldwell 0.4 Field. There are huge crowds of people, all the residents of the Fishman Island have gathered here. In the center of the square are Neptune, the great knight of the sea, the former king of the Dragon Palace, and his son Shaxing, who were tied to the ground with 5 flowers. In front of them is a curly-haired Jaws man wearing a bonnet with a trident pattern on his head, Hodotkins. The outstanding captain of the original king became irrational because of the previous racial hatred towards Murlocs and humans, and became a Murloc full of hostility towards humans. It was he who planned the death of Princess Otahime and incited the people emotions. Advertisement. 197. Establish a new Murloc empire. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Jahahaha. Everyone can see clearly that it is this incompetent and cowardly Neptune that caused the Fishman Island's current situation. Our dear Princess Otahime also died because of human assassination, but the incompetent Neptune did nothing. The Fishman Island like this can only be destroyed. Humans must die. Kill humans. Kill Neptune. Build a new Murloc empire. Hody Jones' frenzied voice echoed in the square. The eyes of the people are full of admiration. Those kind mermaids have been driven aside in the turmoil, and now all the people here are Hody Jones' fanatical pursuers. Hody Jones. Hody Jones. Hody Jones. The crowd was full of voices. Under his careful planning, Hody Jones' internal change this time has directed the emotions of the Fishman Island that have been suppressed by humans for a long time to humans. He has successfully become the hero to save the Fishman Island. Neptune, on the other hand, cannot be the corrupt king who indulges in pleasure. Jahahaha. Neptune, have you seen 19? This is your people, how incompetent you are to lose so many beautiful people. Hody Jones said proudly, he has seen power and benefits are beckoning to him. Bastard. You will definitely die without a place to bury you. The Prince Shark said with hatred, but his strength was no match for Hody Jones. Advertisement. Bang. With a heavy punch, the Prince Shawshing was directly bent over, and he spat out bile in pain. Look, Neptune, this is a son who is as incompetent as you. Under my leadership, the Fishman Island will become stronger. The Murlocs are a race favored by the gods, and humans are just used by the gods. Give us something to enslave. Hody Jones. Neptune was full of pain and disappointment. His most trusted soldier actually betrayed him. Jahahaha. Neptune. Hody Jones leaned against Neptune's ear with a smirk. I will tell you a secret before you die. I arranged for human beings to kill Princess Odo. Jahahaha. You. Hearing this, Neptune was furious, his whole body trembling with anger, his eyes almost popped out. He finally realized how stupid he was to trust such a person. Goodbye, Neptune, I hope you and Odahime meet underground, and I will send your son and daughter down soon. Hody Jones grinned, waving his hand to the executioner. The shining long knife raised high, aiming at the hearts of Neptune and Shark Star. Dang dang. With two crisp sounds, the sharp long knife broke into two halves, the executioner's beheading failed, and the figures of De and 3 people appeared in the distance. Well, there's no one left here when the king is here. De looked at Neptune and shook his head helplessly. Advertisement. Who dare to block our business? Amidst the roar of anger, a Murloc like a bulldog jumped up and squatted on the stone railing in front of De. It was Huodamo, the leader of the new Murloc pirates, Huodama, with sharp teeth. Even the sword can bite off, cruel by nature. Your Majesty Neptune. Heidi looked excitedly at Neptune and Sharkstar in the middle of the square. Heidi. And, who are you? Neptune raised his head in astonishment, and his eyes fell on De. Killed. Hody Jones ordered cruelly. It was said that Huodama led several members of the pirate group to kill them, especially Huodama at the front, with a sharp white fang that was very frightening. Puff. Huodama in midair directly turned into two halves, and blood flew, the corpses were scattered all over the place. The voices of the residents of the Fishman Island who were screaming were cut off in an instant, and they became extremely quiet. Advertisement. Black Rose held a rapier, with blood dripping down from it, and there was only complete contempt in her cold eyes. This level, I don't even have the qualifications for the master to take action. Neptune originally thought that De was just a human being fighting against injustice. In his opinion, these were just death, but after seeing Black Rose wipe out the cadres of the new Murloc pirates together, his evaluation immediately soared several times. A grade. This woman is not simple, and that young man makes Neptune 570 even more frightened. As the great knight of the sea, although he doesn't know much about the outside world, he still has a little bit of strength. Woman. Die. Huodama's death immediately angered Hody Jones. This is his playmate who grew up in Murloc Street, although his personality is as cruel and bad as him, but he is one of the few people in this world who cherishes it. The furious Hody Jones roared, and pulled out the dorsal fin knife, cut Shark, and stalled on his back. His figure was as fast as lightning, and he slashed at the head of Black Rose. Ah! Heidi exclaimed, covering her eyes and not daring to look. The Murlocs who were watching showed cruel expressions. In their eyes, this damned human must die, not to mention killing a Murloc beside them. 10 of them looked at Black Rose with ill intentions. With a cold snort, a icy color flashed in Rose's beautiful eyes. The rapier drew up a snowflake-like light and shadow, and quickly met the terrifying Keisha Dadao. Advertisement. 198. Vulnerable, seeking the top. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hody Jones grinned unceasingly. This human woman obviously wanted to die. Such a small rapier dared to directly confront his own Kirasame. This obviously wanted to die. He seemed to have seen the scene of the Black Rose being cut into two on the spot. The human woman's blood should taste good. The two swords are interlaced. Jung. Amidst the deafening impact, there was a muffled pop. Under Hody Jones's astonished eyes, his sharp-cutting sword was actually broken in two, and was divided into two by the weak-looking rapier, and the cold sword edge easily cut through his proud and tough body. There was a hideous wound on his chest that slid down from his right shoulder to his left abdomen. The blood flew flying without money, and after passing by, Di Jingxi fell to the ground. Black Rose slowly retracted the rapier in her hand, and with a light shake, the blood on the blade was clean. The Murloc residents who were frantically calling were all dumbfounded on the spot. Their eyeballs popped out, their jaws dropped neatly, and they couldn't believe it at all, now that the most powerful fighter on the Fishman Island, Hody Jones, would walk away in this woman's hand for a round. But Hody Jones' carelessness is certainly the main factor, but she can cut off the rapier of the sword. This woman's combat power is absolutely terrifying. When did human women become so powerful? The Murloc's body strength is 10 times that of a human's. Advertisement. Damn. PFF'd. How could I fall here? Damn it. Pain and fear made Hody Jones' eyes turn blood red. The great white shark man would become even more violent after being injured, and Hody Jones's sanity was quickly overwhelmed by pain and hatred. His scarlet eyes stared at the black rose, and he took out a large handful of red and black pills from his pocket with his big hand, and stuffed a large number of them into his mouth. Kacha tilde operator diaresis. It was the sound of Hody Jones chewing the poison with sharp teeth. As he continued to swallow the medicine, the wound on his chest stopped bleeding and healed automatically. His hair also turned white, and his figure swelled even more. His eyes were even more red, as if 2 red lanterns were lit, and the fierce light was overflowing. His aura also increased step by step, becoming more powerful and fierce. Ah, Boss Jones is angry. Get out of the way, it's bad. Run. The residents of the Fishman Island who were watching had obviously seen the scene of Hody Jones after taking the medicine. He would become extremely cruel and bloodthirsty, and he would not even let his own kind be spared. Naturally, these people who were afraid of being harmed by the fish in the pond did not dare to get too close. DE just looked at Hody Jones with a sneer. Advertisement. Black Rose frowned slightly, and she also felt that Hody Jones' aura had increased, and what made her feel uncomfortable was the beast-like rage in this aura. Hit the water. A small water polo took shape in Hody Jones's hand, and with a sudden slap, it condensed and did not disperse, and shot straight at the Black Rose. The hard boulder pillars blocked along the way were instantly pierced and turned into fragments and fell. This scene surprised Hody and the others. Snort. Block and counterattack. Black Rose returned the sword beautifully, blocking the water with a bang, and the force from above caused the rapier to buzz and vibrate, but Black Rose's slender legs tapped lightly on the ground, and her elegant figure was like a civet cat in the dark night. Quickly pull in the distance between the two sides. The pupils of Hody Jones, who just had a hint of complacency on his face, shrank suddenly. No one knew better than him the violent power contained in his hitting the water, but such violent power was blocked by the sword of this slender-looking woman. Go to hell, woman, Shui Shin Kunshark. In the rage, Hody Jones poured all his strength into his arms, and with the swing of his thick arms, many shark-like bottoms formed, expanding rapidly and biting the oncoming Black Rose. Advertisement. The Black Rose that swept forward at a high speed disappeared halfway, and appeared obliquely above Hody Jones in the next moment. Quote. Shadow Feast. Amidst the cold shout, a huge dark attribute sword energy slammed down towards the ground. The dumplings all collapsed into water droplets the moment they hit the sword chi, and Hody Jones was also directly hit, and the wailing sound was covered by the explosion. A huge deep pit was instantly cut out by the sword energy on the ground. Hody Jones was located in the center of the deep pit, and densely packed cracks like spider webs covered the entire edge of the pit. Black Rose's figure fell, and she looked coldly at the Murloc who was seriously injured and fell in the middle of the pit. The bound Neptune, Sharkstar, and the Murlocs all looked at Hody Jones in horror. The area of the deep pit was more than 30 meters long, and Hody Jones looked like a mouse in the middle of a bull's eye. Was forcibly nailed in the center by the sword energy, and the blood was stained red. Damn it! Hody Jones, who was covered in cuts and bruises in the deep pit, trembled. Because of the effect of the evil drug SE, he gritted his teeth and stood up. One arm was completely shattered, the wound on the left chest was deeply visible, and the pupils of his eyes were full of the fierce light of a beast. Black Rose put away her rapier, turned her back, ignored Hody Jones, turned around and walked towards DE to fix her. Boom. With a crackling sound, the imprint attached to the Shadow Feast exploded, and Hody Jones blew himself up into a blood mist in front of everyone's eyes, and exploded in the deep pit, smearing the ground with blurred flesh and blood. Advertisement. 199. Kill all. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Owner. Black Rose smiled at DE's pretty face, like Shikai on ice. Her smile was extraordinarily bright. The first light smile. Hody was completely stunned. It was the first time for her to see this gentle sister Rose make a move. She thought she was just a beautiful and virtuous sister, but now she found that her fighting power was so terrifying. The huge destructive effect caused by the sword energy shocked her heart. It was not only Hody who was shocked, but also Neptune, Sharkstar, and those fanatical people. Neptune's heart trembled wildly. After Jinbei left, Hody Jones' original combat power was the strongest on the Fishman Island. After taking the poisonous medicine, it became even more powerful and terrifying. At least his dragon palace guards were directly crushed by him like a child in front of him. Killing him, even Prince Shark Star, his proudest child, couldn't take the move. Advertisement. But this beautiful and elegant woman in front of her turned Hody Jones into a puddle of minced meat in a minute, and looking at that bright and innocent smile, who can associate her with a murderous female demon? 203. Since I am the guardian knight of His Highness, all the crimes will be borne by me. Black Rose smiled sweetly, firmly believing in her heart. Ah, run. I don't know who among the crowd yelled. These fanatical murlocs scattered around, trying to escape, looking at Black Rose as if they had seen a ghost, and there was no arrogance just now. The murlocs here are basically from Murloc Street, are those with a very radical mentality. Those kind-hearted mermaids and murlocs were either persecuted or driven to marginal positions, far away from the current kingship center. Dee sneered, want to run? It's too late now. These fanatical and ignorant murlocs have ridiculed Black Rose, and looked at Dee and the others so unkindly, they deserve death. Amaterasu. The third, BJDG, Guyu in the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan spun at a high speed, and a suffocating force surged out. Advertisement. These murlocs running desperately were terrified to find that a black flame was burning on their bodies, no matter how far they ran, as long as the murlocs who were present just now had a share. The black flame emitted a terrifying high temperature, and it spread to the whole body in the blink of an eye. Amidst the wails of pain one after another, the murlocs fleeing for their lives shrank and fell to the ground one by one. The wailing of pain gradually weakened, and finally became silent. Their bodies were burned clean, leaving only a mass of black flames scorched and burned on the ground. The originally noisy square became silent in lieu time. In addition to the subtle sound of the black fire burning, there was also the heavy breathing of the few people who were alive. All the desperate murlocs died instantly, with just one look. Hody, who was standing next to Dee at this moment, had a completely pale face, and the eyes of Neptune and Shark Star were even more frightened and trembling. If Black Rose is a devil walking in the dark night, then Dee's performance just now undoubtedly made the living feel the smell of a devil from the abyss of hell. The corner of Dee's mouth twitched into a cruel smile, and all the black flames disappeared, except for some scorched residue and powder left on the ground. The square was so quiet that a needle could be heard falling. Advertisement. Neptune, you are really miserable, Dee said jokingly. Your Majesty, I hope you are fine. This is Lord Yi. The mermaid Hody stepped forward to untie the rope between Neptune and Sharkstar. Neptune looked at Dee gratefully. Of course he had heard about Dee. After all, he was also the king of the country, and he was concerned about each other. In fact, as the king of the Fishman Island, before Jinbei joined Shichibukai, those marines often kidnapped mermaids around the Fishman Island for sale, and there is no essential difference from pirates. Until now Jinbei has become the 7 warlords of the sea. The Fishman Island also drank a cup of wine symbolizing friendship with Whitebeard, and gradually became peaceful. For Neptune, he also resists Marine's domineering rule, but he is not as strong as Dee, the king of 9 Snake Island. He can forcibly repel Buster Call's Marine, which can only be envied. I'm laughing at you. The story of Dee repelling Marine is widely spread among the kings. Among the kings, I am afraid that only His Excellency Dee has such great power. Thanks to your help this time. Also, please follow me to the palace, let me wait to thank you. Both Neptune and Shark Star said gratefully. When talking about Dee's repelling of Marine, Neptune's rare excited red face showed admiration for the famous king of 9 Snake Island in his eyes. Okay, let me also go and see everything about you, Neptune. Dee Shiden said with a smile. Dee's straightforward agreement made Neptune feel a lot of face. The joy of remaining alive after the catastrophe and the enthusiasm of seeing the worshippers mixed together. Neptune led the crowd to the palace quickly. The follow-up cleaning work of the square was handed over to Shen Wei. Those dead murlocs were just fanatics. It just so happened that the gathering of Hody Jones saved Neptune from the work of going door to door. After this battle, I'm afraid the sound of the Fishman Island will harmonize a lot. Advertisement. 200. Mysterious Jade Box, ask for a monthly ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Dee and Black Rose followed behind Neptune, and after about a quarter of an hour, they finally arrived in front of the Dragon Palace. It's just a bit embarrassing. At the moment, the ornately decorated gate of the palace is covered with knives, notes, bricks, and even bombs. In front of the gate of the Imperial Palace, some pieces of paper folded into sharp triangles could still be seen flying towards and nailed to the gate with a bang. There was an inexplicable force pushing them forward, but they were forcibly blocked by the gate. Dee casually grabbed a piece of paper floating in the air, untied it, and found some crooked writing inside. Dear Princess Shirahoshi, you are my sun, and I am your little flame. Without you, my burning heart will be extinguished, and my body will be cold. You are my ocean, and I am your river. Without you. Love you, Vanderdecken X, a heart with Cupid's arrow. Advertisement. PFF'd. Black Rose, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but sneered at the berth, and pretended to show appreciation. Master, look at him, how well written, you have never written a love letter to me. De raised his forehead, isn't this the multi-handed monster of the target fruit? It seems that he has been harassing Princess Shirahoshi constantly. He has been harassing Princess Shirahoshi for so many years, and he is really patient. Then I'll write you 10 copies a day, okay, Rose. De smiled. Purely. Hee, I still don't want it anymore, it's too nasty, I still can't hold it back, my skin is getting goosebumps. Black Rose teased her tongue mischievously. It makes you two laugh, please come in. Neptune's face darkened. This man named Vanderdecken X has been sending such love letters to his daughter, Princess Shirahoshi, for a long time. These papers will fly towards Shirahoshi as if possessed by a demon. Go. As a last resort, he locked Shirahoshi in the hard shell tower so as not to be harassed by this disgusting guy. He also arranged for guards to search for Vanderdecken X, but found nothing. Now it is only possible to use this seemingly stupidest but most effective method to isolate the harassment of Vanderdecken X. De and Black Rose both laughed and said nothing, and understood Neptune's mood at the moment. The front door had just been robbed and there was a fire in the backyard. No one would be happy about this kind of thing. After entering the gate, there is a magnificent corridor, high dome, and exquisitely decorated walls with luminous pearls inlaid at intervals. The main light source comes from the light bubbles that Hody said, colorful gemstones, pearls, etc., shells and the like are inlaid around as decorations, and Neptune's dragon palace looks like it has nothing but money. Advertisement. Both of you, please sit up and serve tea. Instead, Neptune arranged De and Black Rose at the top, and he sat at the bottom, while Hody and Shark Star didn't even have seats, and stood respectfully by the side. Needless to say, De, the king of Nine Snake Island, is definitely qualified to sit on top of him, and this dignified and beautiful woman, in terms of killing Hody Jones with the previous move, her strength is definitely at the top to a frightening degree. Neptune was also completely out of temper as she sat on top. Ahem, this time I would like to thank the two of you for your kindness of rescue. As the lord of a country, it is also a shame for me to lead the subjects to such a state. Without you, I am afraid that Dimpleton and my second daughter would not be able to see the sun of tomorrow. Ask for flowers. In order to repay the two of you, I have prepared a small gift, and I hope you will not refuse. Come, bring up my treasure chest. Neptune said gratefully. As he said, if De and the others hadn't appeared just now, the king of the Fishman Island might have changed hands now, and everything would have nothing to do with Neptune. After a while, the guard brought a quaint box to Neptune. Your Excellency De, please take care of me. Neptune solemnly handed over the ancient box in his hand to De. This is the treasure box handed down from the Fishman Island for thousands of years, the Jade Hand Box. 0. De was taken aback for a moment, didn't expect Neptune to give such an important thing to himself. Advertisement. As a result, the treasure chest was heavy, and the system sound suddenly rang. I found absorbable energy. This energy is very high quality. Can the host absorb it? De's eyes lit up, because the Jade Hand Box in front of him. System, can the Jade Hand Box also absorb? De was a little puzzled. Yes, as long as it is a relatively special ability in the world, it can be absorbed. Then how should I absorb it? The host only needs to touch this treasure chest to his hand, and after confirming the absorption, it can be absorbed automatically. The system answered in an orderly manner. According to the system's answer, it means that De's hunting radius is not limited to devil fruit and demon fruit power, such as the Yangshu Eve in the deep sea of the Fishman Island, the Jade Hand Box in his hand, and even some treasures in other places, perhaps including the Supreme Giant. Including the quick knife, De can absorb all these things. Absorb. With a silent recitation in his heart, De felt a lightness in his hand, and the treasure box was sent to the Kamui space by him. Advertisement. 201. De who kidnapped and trafficked children. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After absorbing, get 3 upgraded chances. There are 3 times. This is far beyond De's expectations. Devil fruit only once, killing demon fruit power gets half once, and man-made devil fruit only gets a quarter once, but the Jade Hand Box in his hand is directly 3 times. Adding the previous 7 times of upgraded chances, De's number of times of upgraded finally reached double digits again and reached 10 times. Neptune and the others stared in astonishment at the Jade Hand Box that suddenly disappeared, but then they thought that what they saw in front of them was a super pirate with a bounty of 1 billion, King De of Nine Snake Island. It is not surprising that this guy has such weird methods. 160. Very nice. De smiled. Seeing De's smile, Neptune's hanging heart was finally relieved. After all, the Jade Hand Box is already the most precious item in the Fishman Island. If DE is not satisfied, he really doesn't know what to repay the other party's life-saving grace. Advertisement. I'm very happy that you are satisfied, Neptune said with a sigh of relief. Neptune, bring Shirahoshi up, DE said suddenly, making Neptune stunned. What do you mean by that? Neptune, you don't want to hide the secret of Poseidon all your life, do you? The corner of DE's mouth raised, and he laughed lightly. This time he came to Yuyu, which is considered to be a good harvest, but Princess Shirahoshi, a new generation of Poseidon, is a powerful existence that can control all sea kings for the future, and DE will naturally not let it go. Instead of letting her live a life of fear in this week the Fishman Island, it is better to take her away and cultivate her to be more perfect. DE, I don't understand what you said. Neptune and Shark Star's expressions changed drastically, and they quickly denied it, but their abnormal expressions betrayed them. What's the use of hiding this kind of thing? I'm not the only one who knows. It's why Van der Dykenix harassed Shirahoshi. Do you want to watch your daughter stay in the hard-shell tower for the rest of her life? And then every now and then, are strong people, even people from the world government, coming to your door asking for Shirahoshi? DE said slowly. Neptune and Shark Star who heard this were both helpless and painful. The fact that Shirahoshi is Poseidon has never been revealed to the outside world, but after listening to DE, the reason why Vanderdecken harassed Shirahoshi was finally found. What DE said is unreasonable, and for now, once the fact that Princess Shirahoshi is Poseidon leaks out the Fishman Island, then it will not be the soy sauce bastard of Vanderdecken. I am afraid that all kinds of murderous people like pirates ruthless marine will be very interested. Advertisement. Thinking of this, Neptune's expression was very struggling, red and then white, and finally, he let out a long sigh, as if he had aged a lot in an instant, and told Shark beside him, go, bring Shirahoshi up. Quote. Shark Star had no choice but to obey. Soon after, Princess Shirahoshi was brought up from the crust tower. The body is more than 20 meters high, and the golden wavy long hair hangs down to the waist, outlining a beautiful curve. It belongs to the giant type of mermaid. As she continues to grow, this body will continue to grow. But the skin that looked fragile and the pretty face with a girlish blush showed that he was still a child of about 10 years old. A pair of pure and beautiful eyes looked at DE and Black Rose curiously, clean without any impurities. Shirahoshi has seen Lord DE and Lord Rose. Princess Shirahoshi is very polite. As a princess, she has been well trained in etiquette, but she still has some fear of strangers during the conversation. DE looked at the girl who was as pure as water with admiration, and said with a smile, Shirahoshi, do you want to see the outside world? There are many beautiful scenery, delicious food and many other things outside. Lots of fun stuff. After saying this, DE felt ashamed that he was a strange uncle who kidnapped and trafficked children. A child of Princess Shirahoshi's age is already full of curiosity about everything. After what DE said, her beautiful eyes were filled with brilliance, and a look of longing appeared on her face, but because of the first meeting, in addition, Father Emperor Neptune was here, so he didn't dare to say much. Advertisement. Neptune smiled wryly. The situation in front of him was what he was most afraid of seeing. The strength of DE and Black Rose had already been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Neptune knew that all his resistance was futile, but seeing how DE treated Shirahoshi like this, he did not think he was a heartless and cold-blooded person. People, I just hope that he will not go too far, but even if it is too much, what can Neptune himself do? Your Majesty. Urgent report. 5.8 Just when Princess Shirahoshi was about to speak, a guard ran in panic at the gate of the palace. What's the matter? Neptune said sullenly, the current situation is already a mess, and when it comes to things, Neptune feels like he is about to explode. The guard looked at Neptune in fear, then lowered his head and handed Neptune a bloody red card. Neptune looked at the opened piece of paper with a frown, and his face became more and more difficult to look. This bastard. Advertisement. 202. Destruction the Fishman Island. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This bastard. Even though Neptune had a good temper, he couldn't help cursing loudly. Seeing this, the Prince Sha Xing at the side quickly comforted him. Father, what's wrong? DE couldn't help but looked at Neptune curiously. It's probably not a trivial matter that made him lose his composure. Neptune handed the red paper in his hand to DE to check, and said angrily, Vander Dyken that bastard boy threatened me by attacking the Fishman Island, it's really disgusting. And he said such things without thinking. Big talk. DE glanced at the paper, and it turned out to be an ultimatum. Vander Dyken threatened Neptune to abdicate voluntarily, and betrothed his daughter Shirahoshi to him, otherwise he would sink the Fishman Island. Revenge on society. As the king, Neptune will naturally not be easily frightened by him and sink the Fishman Island. This is a big talk that even Marine dare not say, not to mention the area of the Fishman Island, which is only 20,000 meters deep in the sea. There are very few naval guns that can reach this 19 miles. Neptune really can't figure out how the courage of van der Dacken X came from. Shark Star also saw the ultimatum of van der Dacken X, and his face was full of anger. Father, give an order. This time I must take this guy down. No matter where he is, I must take his head. Come and see you. Advertisement. This guy dared to threaten the emperor, and even threatened the safety of all the subjects of the Fishman Island. This kind of person must be taken down. The father and son didn't care at all about the destruction of the Fishman Island that van der Dacken X said. It's just that this guy not only stalked Princess Shirahoshi by controlling things, but now he is threatening her with impunity because he was not caught. Puton, more and more presumptuous. After reading the ultimatum, De smiled. He naturally knew what method van der Dacken X was worth destroying. He will always chase in that direction, and according to the plot in the original book, this guy should be on the huge battleship Noah. Noah was built by the masters of the Fishman Island in ancient times. It is also called the Oath Boat. It is all driven by sea kings, and its volume is half the size of the entire encounter, so it is said that sinking the Fishman Island it's not empty talk. And De also understands that Vanderdecken X of Target Fruit probably realized that Shirahoshi's crying could attract sea kings during the turmoil of Princess Odahime's death. Poseidon's record fits perfectly. Shirahoshi is Poseidon. Neptune thought that only their royal family knew this secret. In fact, Vanderdecken X also knew it. De looked at Neptune with a smile. What Vanderdecken X said may not be a lie. Neptune and Shark stared at each other, and they both saw the doubt and surprise in each other's eyes. Could it be that De felt that Vanderdecken X had the ability to destroy the Fishman Island? Suddenly, bursts of noise came from outside the palace. This was the first time Neptune heard such dense and frightened voices after he became king. Advertisement. What's going on, soldier? Neptune shouted loudly. Your Majesty, King, Noah, the boat of oath that we have guarded for generations, flew over the island for some unknown reason, and is sinking slowly. Shili's tone was full of panic. Neptune's face changed. He didn't expect that Vanderdecken X would do what he said, playing for real. It turned out to be Noah the Ark. If it was really this giant ship, it would sink the Fishman Island. Sex is very big. Your Excellency De, let's go out and have a look. Neptune asked. Let's go and have a look together. Above the square, unlike the usual sunshine and laughter, the mermaids and murlocs on the ground raised their heads together, their eyes filled with panic, looking up at the dark spaceship, Noah in the sky. Dark shadows were cast from above, forming a terrifying scene like a lunar eclipse, and the entire area was plunged into darkness. Advertisement. Isn't this Noah? Isn't it moored in the deep sea? How did it appear here? 600. Run. Noah is going to fall. Damn it, what is going on? How can such a horrible thing be resisted? The mermaids are full of despair. Once this huge nose boat falls, how can it hide when it reaches half the size of the Fishman Island? On the boat of oath, Vanderdecken X was full of ferocity, and his dead fish eyes were staring straight at the Fishman Island below. Hody Jones, a stupid guy, agreed to attack the Fishman Island together, no to think that he died first. According to his plan with Hody Jones, Vanderdecken X, who controls the boat of oath, is considered as the second hand. If Hody Jones successfully captures the palace, then he will not need to use this move, but now this guy is rumored to be killed. The original deal was that Hody Jones would become the king of the Fishman Island and Princess Shirahoshi would be his, but now, it seems that the plan has changed. Below, Neptune, who looked up at the sky, looked extremely pale. Advertisement. 203. The weak have no chance to negotiate. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 203. You bastard. You're joking with the lives of all the people on this Fishman Island. Neptune really wanted to kill Vanderdecken X, but now he couldn't do anything about it. The huge battleship in front of him made him flinch. Princess Shirahoshi also looked curiously at the approaching ark in the deep sea. Looking down from a high altitude, she and Neptune were the largest and easiest to see clearly. The crowd on the Fishman Island is constantly evacuating, even though these evacuations seem very feeble, Neptune can only do so. As the ark approached, the people below finally saw clearly the figure standing on the ark. Vanderdecken X, wearing a top hat, curled hair and a beard, with multiple necklaces hanging on his body, he is a wretched murloc with 4 legs. Vanderdecken X also saw Neptune below and the guards of the Dragon Palace who were staring at him, but now the ark has already approached the city. If I was wrong, it should be approaching the sky. As long as he has a single thought, this huge ship will land on the ground. On the Fishman Island, that's why this guy is so unscrupulous. Advertisement. Vanderdecken X glanced down with a triumphant smile, his eyes fell on Princess Shirahoshi with eager desire, and Shirahoshi felt a burst of disgust. But then his eyes stayed on Dee and Haemidi, especially Haemidi's hot and exquisite figure made him feel hot. Besides being hot, it was more of fear, because the information given by the younger brothers was this woman beat Hody Jones in one blow. Although Van der Dykenix has always looked down on people with well-developed limbs like Hody Jones. In his opinion, his brain IQ is the most powerful, but it is undeniable that Earthsea is definitely the strongest in the Fishman Island. At that moment, Van der Dykenix laughed sinisterly. Woman, I heard that you defeated that idiot Hody Jones, why don't we make a deal? Pipe. Quote. Trade. Black Rose frowned, full of coldness. Hey. I give this country to you, and as a cooperation, the mermaid next to you is mine, understand? Van der Dykenix laughed confidently. In his opinion, such a transaction is definitely a big profit in the eyes of others. Because now only his stupid Ryugu family knows that Shirahoshi is the secret of Poseidon. Poseidon, as long as a normal person, knows the choice between a country and 10 mermaids. Hearing this, Neptune and Shark Star were shocked. Advertisement. It was only then that they remembered that Dee and this incredibly powerful woman had the power to push the Fishman Island across the board. Even if Jinbei was here, Neptune didn't have the slightest bit of confidence in his heart. Their eyes looked at Dee and the two, and they were extremely worried. If Dee and Van der Dykenix cooperate, then the Fishman Island will have no chance of surviving, and the Dragon Palace royal family will definitely be bloodbathed. A result that Neptune could not see at all. Your Excellency Dee, I ask you to take care of my daughter Shirahoshi, I just hope you will not treat her badly. At this critical juncture, Neptune had to make such a decision. Dee's previous words clearly showed that he was interested in Shirahoshi, and it was more because Kushing was Poseidon's identity. Now there are only two paths in front of Neptune. One is that Dee takes Shirahoshi to rescue the Fishman Island, and the other is that Van der Dykenix captures the Fishman Island, and Shirahoshi gives Van der Dykenix this rogue. In Dee and Van der Dykenix, Neptune farts. Anyone who wants to know how to choose a stock. Dee was a little surprised that Neptune became enlightened so quickly. He is not a merciless person, not a saint, and would not help Neptune just because he said he was a good king. There has never been a good person in this world who has to live, the truth that bad guys must die. The law of the jungle and the survival of the fittest are the most basic principles. Dee smiled in satisfaction, and gave Haemidi a look the latter comprehended. Advertisement. Black Rose looked at Van der Dykenix with a sneer, and slowly pulled out the rapier in his hand. What qualifications do you have to negotiate terms with me? So glamorous that Ultimate's sword light flashed, and the Black Rose turned into a flash of cold electricity and disappeared in the same place. The sword light shot towards the position of Van der Dykenix at an extremely fast speed, and the tiny sword light shone with a deadly brilliance in the air. The speed was extremely fast, and in the eyes of everyone, there was only a trace of luster like a thread. Practice the sword into silk, the realm of the great swordsman. The slight cracking sound showed that Black Rose's attack was not in vain, its jow. The next moment, she appeared behind Van der Dykenix holding a rapier, standing firmly, with a trace of a touch of bloodline. Van der Dykenix looked at the sudden flash of sword light in astonishment. The speed was too fast, he had no time to resist, but felt a chill in his abdomen, and then the surrounding scenery quickly changed. He was cut in two by the waist, and his upper body fell. He fell to the ground, but his lower body was still standing on the spot because the cutting speed was too fast. Until his death, Van der Dykenix still couldn't understand how he died, and he couldn't figure out why these people dared to kill him. Don't they worry that the ark will fall after losing the target fruit? Death had swallowed him, dying with doubt. Advertisement. 204. Lift Nose Arc. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 204. The ark, which lost the control of the target fruit's power, began to accelerate and fall downward. It was able to approach slowly under the control of Van der Dykenix before, but now it is completely falling due to its own gravity, entering an uncontrollable state. Seeing this scene, Neptune and the others widened their eyes and opened their mouths. This is a disaster like a natural disaster. Such a huge ark is completely unstoppable. These Dragon Palace guards, and even the huge Sea Knight Niputan, these people are no different from tiny ants in front of the ark. Black Rose also noticed the abnormality of the ark, and kicked on the deck suddenly. The huge force caused the deck to explode in circles, and her figure returned to Dee as quickly as lightning. Chop it up. Daimei frowned slightly. Obviously Black Rose was a little unsure about cutting up such a terrifying ship. Looking at the falling ark, Dee said slowly, let me do it. Eyes turned wildly. Dee's figure disappeared into place faster than Black Rose. Advertisement. Where did Dee Pavilion 670 go? Neptune suddenly noticed that Dee had disappeared. He raised his head, only to find that Dee had appeared under the ark. His tiny figure was completely out of proportion to the terrifying volume of the ark. DE was also thinking about whether to destroy the ship or put it back, because the original book did not mention what the ship was used for, and after thinking about it, DE still decided to put it back. After all, the Fishman Island will eventually fall into his control. This ark may be useful in the future, and it may be able to help him at that time. What is Your Excellency DE going to do? Tell him to come down quickly. With the strength of Your Excellency DE and you, it should be possible to escape, so go. Neptune was ashamed. This kind of natural disaster-like ability is not something humans can resist, and the only thing they can do now is to run away. Yes, my lord, you and your Lord DE should hurry up and leave. Take Shirahoshi with you. Leave this place to me and my father. Shark Star held the trident firmly in his hand. Isn't this kind of natural disaster-like destructive power he could fend off that, but there wasn't any choice. Those Dragon Palace guards all around looked ashen and trembled, looking at the terrifying ark falling in the sky. They were desperate, and even their weapons fell to the ground one after another. Under such a horrible disaster, it is really difficult for people to raise half a point of resistance emotions. Black Rose turned a deaf ear to these people's kindness, persuasion, and her beautiful red lips outlined a beautiful arc. Master's power is not as weak as you think, and this matter can't trouble him. Advertisement. After she finished speaking, her beautiful eyes were full of DE's figure standing in the air, and her pretty face was full of fascination. Human luster, the kind of luster that only a happy woman has. Neptune and Shark Star were stunned and speechless. In their eyes, Black Rose was already a powerful ultimate existence. Although DE had a great reputation before, but seeing his fighting power with his own eyes, he could only guess by his own imagination. But to say that he will choose a stronger one among the ark and the flesh and blood humans, Neptune BJDA, still can't convince himself to choose DE. Now, all hopes can only be pinned on DE, and one can only pray that he is as powerful as the Black Rose Lord has said. High in the air, a circle of black flames appeared around DE's body, isolating all the sea water. His black hair was windless, and an awe-inspiring aura emanated from his whole body. Even in a very far away place, those sea kings were frightened. Susano. DE roared furiously, the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan with scarlet eyes twirling crazily, and purple energy emerged from DE's body, forming a huge skeleton giant. But this is not the end. DE continued to roar. Susano. Flame armor. Advertisement. As the sound sounded, the black void flame began to cover Susano's whole body, like armor, and in Susano's hands, two large swords formed by void flame appeared. And different from the previous blazing heat, all the heat of the void swallowing flame this time seems to be imprisoned in the black, and the black great sword is completely black and solid, and it cannot be seen that it is composed of wind flames. DE doesn't want to destroy this ship. Whether the current technology can make another Noah is a problem. No matter how bad it is, it will be good for Reiju to study and improve his own battleship level. Noah, let me take you back. DE sneered. As he spoke, DE directly controlled Susano. Raising those huge hands, two solid black giant swords crisscrossed together with a clang, and the huge sword pressure rushed towards the ark like a tide. Boom. The pressure of the sword is like an invisible waterfall going up against the current, impacting on the ark, and the most impacted penetration makes an overwhelmed cracking sound, as if it will be broken at any time. The falling speed of the ark, which was half the size of the Fishman Island, began to slow down. Advertisement. 205. Long live Lord DE. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Susano stiffly stood in front of the ark, crossed her huge swords, and used the terrifying sword pressure to keep the entire ark from falling. Terrifying power came from the blade of the sword. Even DE felt a little overwhelmed. The bones of his whole body were under extremely terrifying pressure. Bloodshots even began to appear in DE's acting eyes, and the already scarlet Sharingan was even more bewitching red. Veins bulged out one by one on DE's forehead, and he let out a low growl like a beast. The speed of the ark continued to slow down, and when it was only a few kilometers away from the Fishman Island, Neptune and the others could even feel the sizzling heat wave from the void-swallowing flame, and the ark finally stopped abruptly. The expressions of Neptune and the soldiers of the Fishman Island froze, their mouths wide open could completely contain two fears, and each of them lost their minds and turned into petrification. The chaos and panic on the streets. Running around like headless chickens, the subjects also stopped, looking at the shocking scene in the sky in astonishment. The splendor in Black Rose's eyes became more intense. This is her own man, a man who is indomitable. Rise. Susano's arms swelled in a circle visible to the naked eye, and fine cracks even appeared on the huge sword condensed by the emptiness swallowing flames. The terrifying weight is the size of half of the Fishman Island, and one person can lift half of it. The island, this kind of terrifying power, even Kaido, one of the four emperors who is currently known as the strongest creature in the world, has never had such a feat. Noah began to retreat slowly, and began to move backwards under the shocking eyes of everyone. 1 meter. 10 meters. Advertisement. 100 meters. In an instant, the whole picture came alive. Black Rose covered her lips and smiled, feeling suddenly bright. A frosty beauty was so charming and bright in front of DE, that all the subjects of the Fishman Island around her were in a state of sluggishness. Neptune's half-kneeling directly triggered a tsunami-like cry from the subjects, without any coercion. It was a voice from the heart. Including Neptune, the subjects of the Fishman Island were in awe of DE's rescue just now, incomparable, grateful. Okay. Let them kneel if they like to kneel. DE pouted. The shadow cast by Noah in the high sky has disappeared on the Fishman Island, and the sunshine of Yangshuive finally shines again, dispelling the haze in people's hearts together. My lord, take a step to speak. Neptune said respectfully. My god. Can a man do this? No. He must be a god. Is it the gods arranged by the heavens to save us? Even the ignorant Princess Shirahoshi looked at DE's figure with green ripples in her beautiful eyes, and her small white hands tightly clasped the hem of her skirt, biting Ku and looking at the shrinking Noah in the sky. Master DE. Advertisement. Everyone on the Fishman Island knelt down to bring this godlike salvation. Miracle. Long live. Long live. The scene was dead silent. I don't know who swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and it became a spell that awakened the dead city. This almost fanatical worship lasted until DE flew back from a distance. Knowing that DE lifted Susano's status, these sluggish subjects of the Fishman Island recovered from the shock. In the end, DE and Black Rose followed Neptune back to Dragon Palace Zhongshan amidst the voices of countless people. What's the matter with these roses? Ask for flowers. All the subjects on the Fishman Island seemed to have been hit by a collective petrification spell. They all froze in place, motionless, each with their mouths widened, looking up at the sky, and remained frozen for a long time. The joy of surviving after the catastrophe made everyone weep with joy. The eyes of the subjects of the Fishman Island were filled with tears, and the sound of thud-thud-thump sounded together. It seemed that the whole the Fishman Island was under a spell in an instant. Like a domino effect, then one knelt down on the ground. Even the Knight of the Sea and King Neptune of the Dragon Palace Kingdom knelt down on the ground, muttering. Advertisement. The majestic Susano was dressed in black flame armor, standing in the sky like a god, overlooking the people below, and then landed on the ground. I'm not waiting for a guy with amazing strength. Gulu. Until the end, Susano DE took horror and Noah disappeared from everyone's sight. KM. Without DE's rescue, the Fishman Island is now in ruins, and everyone has no chance to stand here and breathe the air. For them, DE's random act just now is tantamount to giving them new life, so even though DE has a higher prestige than Neptune in this call, Neptune himself is completely willing. God. The death just now was so approaching, like a dream, everything was so unreal, like an illusion. Long live Master DE. At this moment, Neptune fully used honorifics, half kneeling on the ground, including Shark Star, who had a little temper before, now completely lowered his noble head, showing respect from the heart. 0.0. DE glanced at Neptune, then turned and asked Black Rose. Advertisement. 206. Mermaid form. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The death of Hody Jones and the smooth resolution of Noah's crisis brought the Fishman Island back to a calm state, and Neptune's heart that had been hanging for a long time could finally breathe a long sigh of relief. From the guilt of the past few days to the execution of myself, and then to Noah's impact on the Fishman Island, and finally to the present restoration of calm. Neptune feels like his heart is on a roller coaster, and if he is not careful, he will die, especially when he is talking to DE now. It is completely different from the mentality when he was talking to DE at the beginning. The awe of the king was now the inexplicable adoration of DE's almost god-like abilities by the faithful. 693. My lord, my little girl will take care of you from now on. With sparkles in Neptune's eyes, he entrusted Princess Shirahoshi's hand to Emperor. Advertisement. The ignorant Shirahoshi didn't understand why Neptune did this, but since it was arranged by her father, she couldn't resist, but she felt a little nervous about the life with DE, and at the same time secretly looked forward to it. After seeing DE's abilities, Neptune has decided to entrust Shirahoshi to DE, Poseidon. He knows that he cannot protect such a terrifying existence. The only thing he can hope for is that DE can see the love between the two. Protect Princess Shirahoshi. Ahem. As for whether Shirahoshi will be fortunate enough to be favored by DE in the future, Neptune has no way of asking, although he hopes that when Princess Shirahoshi grows up, he can have some affection with DE, but it seems that Princess Shirahoshi's body type has a race or insurmountable obstacles. Master, Shirahoshi is a bit. Black Rose hesitated. Princess Shirahoshi is too big. Jindy may not be able to fit it. It is embarrassing. If such a beautiful mermaid princess enters the Kamui space, and Black Arrow, it's probably not what DE wants to see such black and white guys staying together. DE chuckled, looked at Black Rose with a smirk, then glanced at Neptune, and finally landed on the blushing Princess Shirahoshi. Eat this, Shirahoshi. A devil fruit with a spiral pattern appeared in De's hand. This is the paramesha fruit obtained when the G5 branch was destroyed. The size of the fruit is just right for use. This is the secret of the sea. Devil fruit. Neptune's eyes widened, and even the prince shark next to him had a look of horror. Advertisement. This is the world of pirates 10 years ago. Devil fruit is extremely rare. Many people think it is an ominous thing and are unwilling to take it, but later found that people who eat devil fruit become extremely powerful, resulting in this also known as the secret treasure of the sea. People who eat devil fruit will gain demon-like power. But eating devil fruit at the same time means that you will lose the ability to swim. For Princess Shirahoshi, who is a mermaid, it is like cutting off her legs. Sir De. Thinking of this, Neptune's face turned pale, his lips trembled, and he plucked up the courage to say, Master De, if my daughter eats devil fruit, she will be unable to swim, and the mermaid who cannot swim will die. Don't you? Hearing this, Shark Star trembled all over. Could it be that Master De wants to kill Shirahoshi? De chuckled. Don't worry, if I want to destroy Shirahoshi, why bother? This thing sells for hundreds of millions of Baileys outside. Princess Shirahoshi was the first to get the fruit in her hand. The devil fruit was about the size of a melon seed in her hand. She raised her head and ate it whole. Princess Shirahoshi's face turned red immediately after eating devil fruit. Obviously the taste is really unacceptable. But the next change surprised Neptune and others. Princess Shirahoshi's body shrunk rapidly, becoming the size of an ordinary human being. Princess Shirahoshi, who was only in her early teens, only reached De's armpit. This mermaid princess looked extremely cute and playful. Advertisement. Seeing this scene, Neptune sighed again and again. Obviously, the power of devil fruit has been generated, which means that Shirahoshi will not even be able to leave the Fishman Island. There is no water in the island now, but as long as it goes to the ocean place, Shirahoshi had to face the embarrassing fact that he could not swim. De is impressed by Princess Shirahoshi's courage. This ignorant mermaid obviously trusts De very much, making De smile at her. Immediately, Princess Shirahoshi's face turned red, and she was also very curious about her own changes. She was looking at the big brother next to her with new eyes. The De she saw from this perspective was different from before. A little less awe, a little more warmth. 5.1. System. Upgraded Shirahoshi's devil fruit once. De sighed softly in his heart. Ordinary devil fruit would have the aftereffect of becoming a landlubber, but the upgraded devil fruit would not have it at all. Princess Shirahoshi can shrink in size, but not being able to swim is also a big problem, and the mermaid's tail is really awkward. As for what the upgraded will look like, it is out of control, as long as Shirahoshi does not become a landlubber. Upgraded is completed, because the small fruit transforms into the mermaid form of the human fruit. This. De was overjoyed. This is too powerful, the size of the fruit can be changed like this. Advertisement. 207. The Fishman Island is attached. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This. De was overjoyed. This is too powerful, the size of the fruit can be changed like this. I saw a flash of brilliance passing by, and Princess Shirahoshi's mermaid legs turned into a pair of pretty, tender and beautiful legs. The ultra-short hot pants wrapped the round legs, the graceful curvature, and the fair skin, as if carved from beautiful jade. Crystal clear and jade-like, there is even an urge to let people go up and touch them. De felt embarrassed. Did he have a foot fetish? Princess Shirahoshi looked at her legs in astonishment, and Neptune and the others were also speechless. After trying 2 steps, the cheerful Princess Shirahoshi jumped around excitedly like a cute white rabbit. I have legs. I can walk too. Advertisement. De and Black Rose also looked at this scene with a smile. At this moment, Shirahoshi looks like a Jasper-like girl next door, youthful and very pleasing. As for the 19 abilities attached to the mermaid fruit, Shirahoshi did not show it, and De has no way of knowing, and we can only watch her development in the future. Master De. At this moment, there are no words to express the shock in Neptune's heart, so he can only replace it with a respectful title. Neptune seemed to have thought of something, and looked at De with some uncertainty. Huh, what's the matter? De asked, and Shirahoshi happily held De's hand. After eating the fruit of the system upgrade, she has completely trusted De, as if the two have been together for many years, with incomparable trust and loyalty. Thank you for everything you have done to my little girl. Also, I don't know if I should mention something to you. Neptune hesitated to speak. Please say. Advertisement. Before, I signed a cooperation agreement with Whitebeard Edward Newgate to protect the Fishman Island under his flag, but now, the little girl has followed you, I think. Neptune's meaning is obvious. This guy's baby girl is now in De's hands, whether it's for Princess Shirahoshi's better life with De, or for De and himself to have more trust. He decided to give up and Whitebeard the Covenant, joined De's command. Although De is just a big pirate with a bounty of 1 billion, after all, the time to become famous is still short, and his prestige is not as good as that of Whitebeard, who is currently the strongest among the 4 emperors. This was about 10 years ago. Although Whitebeard was not at his peak at this time, he was definitely much stronger than 10 years later. Neptune's decision is very risky, because unilaterally abandoning the covenant with Whitebeard means slapping the 4 emperors in the face. The most important thing for pirates is face and fame, which means that he will bear the responsibility of the Whitebeard pirates turning against each other. Risk. Giving up the asylum of Whitebeard, the strongest 4 emperors, and choosing the asylum of the rookie great pirate De, even the Prince Sharkstar was surprised by his father's decision. This decision is absolutely unwise in the eyes of normal people. It's as if you gave up a guaranteed national bond to buy a stock with no guaranteed return. De secretly scolded Neptune as an old fox, but he also expressed his appreciation for his decision. As expected of the great knight of the sea, he is at least more aggressive than ordinary people in this kind of choice. Will I lose money if I buy De's stock? In my name? De asked with a smile. Advertisement. Yes, I want the Fishman Island to be under your name, but I'm worried that the Whitebeard pirates will make trouble. Neptune expressed his worries. Since you are so determined, I will accept you as the first national level strength under my banner, Neptune. I will deal with Whitebeard's threat, leave me a phone bug, and if he dares to cause trouble, just come on, haha. De laughed. The elite troops equipped with combat uniforms in the Kingdom of God have already taken shape. Enel and Hawkeye should be close to Admiral in strength if there is no accident, plus rose and black gold. If Whitebeard dares to come, De does not mind fighting with him field. Neptune looked directly at De with a determined gaze, and nodded slowly. He is betting. A big gamble. The only hope is that De can repel Whitebeard's attack. If he wins, he will reap 100 times. If he loses, he will have nothing. For Shirahoshi, he has no choice. Many years later, when King Neptune of the Fishman Island, the second kingdom of Qinghai in the Kingdom of God, recalls the past, he will always feel sincerely proud of that risky decision, especially because of this unexpected alliance choice. The Fishman the island has grown from an ordinary world government ally to one of the 5 most powerful vassal states of the Kingdom of God that will shake the world in the future. The strength of a single country is enough to marry the naval headquarters 10 years ago. After this conversation, Neptune also unilaterally tore up the covenant with Whitebeard without hesitation. And De also began to include the Fishman Island in his territory. As for the Murlocs whose physical strength is 10 times that of humans, they can consider forming a Murloc Corps, which will be absolutely strong in the sea. However, things on the prehistoric island have not yet stabilized. The matter of the Murloc Corps has temporarily slowed down. Next, Neptune and De drank the alliance wine, and his daughter Shirahoshi can be regarded as De's official person. As for whether she can become his woman, this is something that Neptune can care about. Advertisement. 208. Proud Hawkeye. Previous chapter. Advertisement. The Fishman Island held a 5-day carnival to celebrate the return of peace to the country. 5 days later, Mermaid Port. Headed by Neptune, the tide-like crowd crowded together to watch the Jindy leave, and also watched the mermaid Shirahoshi leave with De and the others. On the other side, the New World Whitebeard Sea area. The person on the ground is the captain of Whitebeard's second team, Diamond Josie. Beasta, don't lose. This guy is so arrogant that he even refused Dad's invitation. You have to let him see how powerful we are. Margao, the captain of the 10th Division, leaned on the edge of the ship with his eyes folded and his arms folded. He looked lazily at Ba. Hawkeye Doflamingo also successfully broke through to the great swordsman in the challenge, several years earlier than in the original book, and Doflamingo with the Eye of Flaw is even more terrifying. Naked look down upon. The breath is restrained, condensed but not dispersed. Advertisement. And even if he fell to the ground, his angry eyes were still fixed on the person in front of him, the man with golden eyes, black cross-long knife, dressed like a gentleman. I'm sorry, Whitebeard, I've already joined the pirates. Hawkeye shook his head and refused. Whitebeard's spirit was beyond his expectation. He didn't expect that this powerful guy could still invite him, but he had already made an agreement with De. Of course he will not join another pirate group. But now, this guy has enough confidence to meet the wrath from Whitebeard. This is the real swordsman. Hawkeye shook his head. No. Quote. Gu la 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 la. Doflamingo the Eagle Eye, right. I heard that boy Shanks talk about you before. I remember you, great swordsman. Whitebeard's unrestrained laughter came from far away. Known as the toughest man in the world, Diamond Josie. Hawkeye turned a deaf ear to these gazes. In his eyes, he only had the pursuit of the way of the sword. When he came here, He wanted to see how far he was from the man who claimed to be the strongest man in the world. After coming down from the kingdom of God, Hawkeye challenged nearly 30 swordsmen in a row without any defeat. With his eyesight strengthened by DE, he was able to deal with these swordsmen almost in seconds. The gap between Hao and the top swordsman is like a chasm. Advertisement. From the moment Dracul Mahawk boarded the boat, he felt that this guy was clearly a great swordsman, but he couldn't feel any trace of sword intent. Immediately, the atmosphere of all members of the Whitebeard pirates tightened suddenly, and the eyes projected over became more fierce. Foil Vista has a trace of anger in his eyes. The Whitebeard pirates were provoked and seriously injured the captain of the second squad. This is definitely a very shameful thing. Now Vista is at the peak of the sword hero. It is possible to break through to the level of a great swordsman at any time. If it develops according to the normal historical line, at this time, Hawkeye will not have direct contact with Whitebeard, and at most will fight back and forth with Redhead. Redhead, as the 4 emperors who was promoted in the later stage, is still weaker than Whitebeard in terms of strength some. It's really arrogant. Father, let me handle this guy. Hawkeye, Rachel Mahawk, ha ha ha. Vista, he has already advanced to the great swordsman, 1 step ahead of you. You have to be careful. Also, Dracul Mahawk, have you considered joining my pirate group and being my son, and become my family, gurgling. Whitebeard laughed heartily and sincerely offered an olive branch. Facing Hawkeye Dracul Mahawk, this kind of instinct like an old enemy between swordsmen makes his body eager to fight Hawkeye, whether it is to prove his own swordsmanship or to break through to the great swordsman, this battle imperative. Whitebeard sighed regretfully. It's Shanks, I heard that you have a good relationship with a red-haired boy, and I am a little envious of his luck to be able to recruit a master like you. Except for Margot, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates around him didn't seem to mind. The others were eyeing Hawkeye for hurting Joes, and even the crew members gave them malicious looks. Advertisement. He actually used the cross knife in his hand to deal with Vista. Who did he think he was? Didn't he just become a great swordsman? Vista is a top swordsman. Otherwise, how could he have the ability to become the captain? Hawkeye's answer caused Whitebeard's eyes to open suddenly. It wasn't the red-haired kid, or who? But Hawkeye didn't intend to continue explaining. As for Vista, Whitebeard still has enough confidence. After all, Hawkeye is just a newly promoted swordsman. With Whitebeard's powerful observation hockey, he can perceive that the strength difference between Vista and Hawkeye is not that big. Foil Vista, as the team leader, still has some bottom-of-the-box tricks, so he may not lose to Hawkeye. And Vista is like a brilliant and famous sword, especially when he is about to break through to the great swordsman. The sword intent in his whole body cannot be suppressed, and it continues to spread out. Compared with Vistan's seriousness, Hawkeye seemed more casual, and slowly took out the cross knife pendant around his neck. The Moby Dick, a pirate ship as huge as a whale, was lying on the deck of a man dripping with blood. There was a hideous wound on his chest that almost ran through his entire chest from left to right, and the muscular arms were even more. There was a thick white bone exposed after being cut by a knife, and he was lying on the ground vomiting blood at the moment, and several Whitebeard captains and crew members around him were busy treating him. Vista took a deep breath and drew out his double swords, following the standard swordsman etiquette. Stock la 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 la. Jaws's defeat was beyond his expectation. He originally thought that Jaws's diamond defense could resist Hawkeye, but he didn't expect to lose after only holding on for less than 3 minutes. In order to witness his strength, Hawkeye Dracul Mahawk chose to challenge Whitebeard, and the captain of the second team Josie, relying on his hard body, used the power of Diamond Fruit to incarnate the 5th King of Diamonds, but was exposed by Hawkeye's continuous onslaught and suffered a disastrous defeat. Advertisement.